Chapter 164. The sun was shining brightly today, but everyone was shivering as they stood in the courtyard of Yang County's Yamen. In front of Li Mu and the others were 19 corpses, 13 constables, the county magistrate's family of 4, and the corpses of the Wang family's wealthy father and son were all here. These people's eyes were wide open, their mouths were wide open, and their faces were filled with terror. It was obvious that they had suffered a great shock before they died. 19 people died with their eyes wide open. They looked up at the sky in horror. It was a terrifying scene. Some of the less experienced bailiffs lowered their heads after a glance, not daring to take a second look. Even Green Snake, who had always been fearless, hid behind Li Mu, his face a little pale. Li Mu used his heavenly eye to check and saw that the bodies of these 19 people were empty. From their expressions, it seemed that the moment they saw the female ghost, their 3 souls and 7 spirits had been sucked away, leaving behind such a miserable state before death. Although the county magistrate of Yang County did not have a high cultivation base, he was still a spirit condensation cultivator. Even his primordial spirit did not last for more than an instant in front of that peerless evil spirit. County Premier Chen's face was as calm as still water. He glanced at the corpses and asked loudly, "Who's in charge of the county government of Yang County now?" Like Yangqiu County, Yang County was just a small county. There were no magistrates and no military officers. As soon as County Magistrate Chun finished speaking, a low-ranking official ran forward and quickly said, "Your Excellency, the county magistrate and the arrestor have been killed by the evil spirit. I'm the county jailer. If you have any questions, you can ask me." County Prime Minister Chun took a deep breath and said, "Tell me the truth about the whole thing." The official shuddered and said with a trembling voice, "It's like this. Squire Wang and his son usually have a close relationship with the county magistrate. The Wang father and son always give the county magistrate a lot of filial piety during the holidays. The county magistrate also takes care of them a lot. Yesterday, the young master of the Wang family kidnapped 2 women and brought them back. One of them is the daughter of a farmer in Yang County, and the other is a pretty little beggar." He swallowed a mouthful of saliva and continued, "After the young master of the Wang family kidnapped the farmer's daughter back home, he wanted to rape her but accidentally killed her. The farmer complained to the county magistrate, and the Wang father and son had already given the county magistrate a large sum of benefits. They blamed the little beggar for the woman's death." The jailer's face was pale, and he said in a trembling voice, They secretly killed the little beggar's father and buried him in the mass grave. They also wanted to execute the little beggar in the prison and make it look like she committed suicide for fear of punishment. Before the little beggar died, she pointed to the sky and cursed. After she died, lightning flashed and thunder rumbled outside, and it snowed heavily. Later, she turned into an evil spirit and killed the county magistrate's family, the father and son of the Wang family, and those bailiffs. County Premier Chun clenched his fists and said angrily, "Bastard!" As soon as he finished speaking, there was a sudden commotion outside the government office. A bailiff ran in and said hurriedly, "Your Excellency, it's not good. Many people have broken in." County Premier Chun stepped out, and the people who broke into the government office suddenly seemed to have an invisible wall in front of them. They could not take another step forward. County Premier Chun looked at them and asked, "I am the county premier of the North County. What do you want to do by breaking into the government office in broad daylight?" Hearing that he was an official of the county, the people discussed and knelt down. "Your Excellency, I have a grievance to report." "I have a grievance too. Your Excellency, please help us." County Premier Chun looked at the chaotic scene and spoke again. His loud voice echoed among the people. "Line up in order and speak one by one." The people who had just arrived at Yang County from the county did not expect that the first thing they would face when they arrived at Yang County was a crowd of angry people. The 19 corpses were temporarily placed in the inner hall. County Premier Chun personally opened the government office to let the people of Yang County complain. A middle-aged man walked into the hall first. After kneeling down, he said loudly, "Your Excellency, I want to report Wang Luan of the Wang family and the county magistrate of Yang County Chen Chuan. A year ago, Wang Luan ordered people to kidnap my daughter and sully her innocence. She could not bear the humiliation and committed suicide by jumping into a well. I reported Wang Luan to the government office. The county magistrate of Yang County, Chen Chuan, not only did not help me, he even gave me 20 beatings and said that I framed a good person. He said that my daughter fell into a well because she lost her footing. County Premier Chen glanced at Constable Zhao and asked, "Do you remember?" Constable Zhao put down his pen and said, "Yes." County Premier Chen looked at the middle-aged man and said, "After I investigate this case, I will give you justice. Next." An old man walked up and said, "I want to report Wang Bo of the Wang family and the county magistrate of Yang County, Chen Chuan. The Wang family took over my second son's land, but the county magistrate gave my land to the Wang family." County Premier Chen nodded and said, "Next." "I want to report the wife of the county magistrate of Yang County, Chen Chuan. I want to report the daughter of the county magistrate of Yang County, Chen Chuan. I want to report the son of the county magistrate of Yang County, Chen Chuan. I want to report the arrestor of Yang County, Chiyu. I want to report the arrestor of Yang County, Wei Peng." In the front hall of the county government office, County Premier Chen asked questions while Constable Zhao recorded them. Li Mu stood in the inner hall and listened for a while before he walked out. The people of Yang County were none other than the father and son of the Wang family, the family of the county magistrate of Yang County, and the arresters who died. These people relied on the county magistrate of Yang County, Chen Chuan, to bully people and commit all kinds of crimes. They were involved in more than 10 cases of murder. The lives of the people of Yang County were no different from grass in their eyes. These people, without exception, all died in yesterday's incident. In the county government office of Yang County, those who were lucky enough to survive were ordinary runners. Bai Tingxin followed them out with a pale face and said, "You humans are too scary. I will never absorb human yang qi again." The grievances of the people of Yang County lasted until the afternoon. There were still many people lining up outside the county government office. After questioning one person, County Premier Chen closed the office and ordered the rest to come back the next day. Constable Zhao looked at the thick stack of case files and rubbed his aching wrists. He said, "Humans can be bullied, but not the heavens. Their deaths were retribution. Their deaths are not to be regretted." County Premier Chen asked, "Is there any news about the evil spirit?" County Magistrate Shen said, "Several people died in Yang County during the day. They were all evil tyrants and unruly people. The evil spirit's purpose seems to be very clear." He sighed and said, "She did what should be done by the imperial court." County Premier Chen shook his head and said, "The imperial court will soon know what happened in Yang County. Chen Chuan's wife is the sister of the assistant minister of the Ministry of Personnel. If it weren't for this person, Chen Chuan would have lost his position as county magistrate. He wouldn't have run amok in Yang County and caused such trouble." None of the people of Yang County, including Li Mu and the others, sympathized with the people who died. But the imperial court would definitely not tolerate the evil spirit's existence. Although the imperial court usually did not want to provoke a fifth realm cultivator, slaughtering the entire family of an imperial court official and massacring the government office had crossed the line. The higher-ups would not tolerate her. The evil spirit did not leave Yang County. She continued to kill people. Although the people she killed were all evil people, the North County government could not stand by and do nothing. County Premier Chen, who was also a fifth realm cultivator, left the county government office early the next morning to find the evil spirit. However, he was always one step behind her. If a fifth realm evil spirit deliberately hid her aura, it would be difficult for cultivators of the same realm to find her. Once the county magistrate of Yang County died, the county government office was taken over by the county government office. The people who had been bullied before no longer had any worries. In the past few days, there were many people who came to the government office to complain. Li Mu and the others were handling these matters at the government office. The crimes committed by County Magistrate Chen Chuan and the others were too numerous to be recorded. In the process of recording, Li Mu was so angry that he had a headache. He did not think that the evil spirit did anything wrong. Instead, he felt happy. These people deserved to die. The laws of the Great Zhou could not control them. If the imperial court did not punish them, the heavens would punish them. From a certain perspective, they did not die at the hands of the evil spirit, but died from the wrath of the heavens. The initial power of ghosts came from resentment. The stronger the resentment, the stronger the ghost would be after death. If their resentment was earth-shattering and resonated with the heavens, there was a very low probability that they would turn into a peerless evil spirit in a short period of time after death. That little beggar was kidnapped by young ruffian. She was a victim, but she was framed as a murderer. The injustice she suffered was comparable to Dou-Yi's. Before she died, she was filled with resentment. Coincidentally, she shouted that sentence that had the effect of a mantra, causing the heavens to change and turning into a peerless evil spirit. Li Mu was actually a little flustered. If he looked closely, this evil spirit was created by him. If the imperial court wanted to settle the score, he and the Union Pavilion would not be able to escape. However, if he had the chance to choose again, Li Mu would probably still tell the story of Dou-Yi's death. If there was no Dou-Yi's injustice, if there was no rain in the county capital, and if there was no beggar hiding outside the Union Pavilion, perhaps there would be one less evil spirit in this world, but there would be one more wronged soul, and those who should have gone to hell could continue to harm the world. In these few days, the evil spirit was still on the move. In other places of Yang County, there were more and more ghosts causing trouble. It was obvious that there was a mastermind behind the scenes who wanted to throw Yang County, and even the entire North County, into chaos. The imperial court's reaction to this matter was faster than Li Mu had expected. In just 5 days, an imperial envoy came from the Middle County to Yang County with a piece of news. Any cultivator of the Great Zhou dynasty who could slay this evil spirit would receive a heaven-level talisman or a heaven-level elixir. They could also choose an earth-level magic treasure. This kind of reward was enough to make countless cultivators in the North County and the surrounding counties go crazy. Stupid! In the Yang County Yamen, County Minister Chan looked coldly at a feminine man and said, Chu Jiang of Gojosian's ghost generals are also looking for that evil spirit. Is the imperial court trying to push this evil spirit to Chu Jiang of Gojosian? Chapter 165. The feminine man sneered and said, How dare a fifth realm brat call himself a king? No matter what the reason was, she killed an official of the imperial court and massacred the county office. She has violated the imperial court's bottom line and dignity. We must destroy her soul. County Minister Chun waved his sleeves and left. The two parted on bad terms. Constable Zhao walked forward and asked, Sir, what should we do now? County Minister Chan said, Organize the complaints of the people in Yang County and send them to the county office. Send people to suppress the evil spirits in Yang County and be careful of Chu Jiang of Gojosian's subordinates. County Minister Shun walked forward and said, Although she died unjustly, she did violate the imperial court's bottom line. If we can't bring her to justice, it will be North County's fault. It will be hard to explain to the imperial court. I'm worried about Chu Jiang of Gojosian. County Premier Chen's expression was solemn as he said, King Chu Jiang definitely has some sort of objective for coming to the northern county. The longer he stays here, the greater his plans will be. Presently, he already has 16 soul realm ghosts under him. If he subdues even this fierce spirit, then his forces will definitely increase greatly. We have to be careful of him. County Minister Shen nodded and asked, I heard that they asked for help from the ancestral court of Fu Lu School. Did they reply? They were rejected. County Premier Chan snorted coldly and said, A fifth realm ferocious spirit can only be subdued by the peak masters. The talisman sect heard that this woman died because she was wronged. Before she died, she resonated with heaven and earth and turned into a ferocious spirit. She refused to help and they could not even enter the mountain gate. In the past few days, Li Mu's task in Yang County was to organize the files. He heard about the evil spirit every day. County Minister Chun had been chasing her but couldn't catch up. The imperial court also sent an imperial envoy to supervise North County's government, and get rid of this evil spirit that violated the imperial court's bottom line. They also offered a large reward to attract cultivators from North County. A large portion of the cultivators sympathized with the evil spirit's encounter and were unwilling to help. However, the generous reward had indeed attracted a large number of people. However, they had joined hands to encircle and annihilate that fierce spirit many times, but they had not succeeded once. All the cultivators who surrounded the evil spirit were sucked dry of their magic power. Although their lives were preserved, their cultivation foundation was destroyed, and they could only become mortals in the future. It was said that the imperial court had once sent people to Mount Baiyun for help, but they were rejected by the ancestral court of Fulu School. Taoist cultivation focused on following the heavenly Tao. Naturally, they would not attack a vengeful spirit that was recognized by the heavenly Tao. If the Fulu School did not attack, no one in the North County could do anything to the evil spirit. As more and more villains died by her hands, in addition to absorbing the magic power of those cultivators, her strength also increased day by day. The imperial envoy had already sent someone to ask for reinforcements. Presumably, more powerful cultivators would arrive here soon. Bai Tingxin had been quiet for the past few days. She was on guard against everyone around her. She slipped into Li Mu's duty room and asked anxiously, "Do you think that evil spirit will come looking for me?" Li Mu raised his head and looked at her. He asked, "Why would she look for you?" Bai Tingxin said worriedly, "Didn't you say that she killed a lot of bad people in the past few days? I used to absorb people's yang qi. Will she come to kill me?" Li Mu finally knew the reason why she had been afraid for the past few days. He comforted her. "Don't worry. She won't come looking for you." Bai Tingxin was slightly relieved. She asked again, "Why?" Li Mu said, "The people she killed were all evil people who had committed many crimes. They deserved to die. Although you also made mistakes, your crimes do not deserve to die." Bai Tingxin was relieved. She asked curiously, "How does she know who are evil and who are good people?" Li Mu explained, "People who have killed people will have evil spirits, resentment, blood, and will definitely lack righteousness. Ghosts are the most sensitive to these. Naturally, they can distinguish. If you have these on you that night in the bamboo forest." Li Mu did not finish his sentence. Bai Tingxin asked, "What happened that night in the bamboo forest?" Li Mu put down the dossier and gave her a meaningful smile. He said, "What do you think? If she was really an evil demon, Li Mu would have taken her life that day in the bamboo forest." Bai Tingxin understood Li Mu's answer. Her face turned pale and she ran out quickly. Li Mu picked up the dossier again and sighed softly. If the little beggar had turned into an evil spirit and left Yang County after taking her revenge, she could have gone to Yudu or a place where no one could find her to cultivate. She could have continued to exist in another form. However, she had chosen this path. Even if she killed people who deserved to be killed, the imperial court would still erase her completely for the sake of dignity and face. Yang County on a remote mountain path. More than 10 cultivators surrounded a ball of black fog. That evil spirit is inside. "Everyone, let's attack together. Let's kill this ghost together and split the rewards equally." These cultivators rushed forward and attacked the black fog with all kinds of Fu magical treasures, divine arts, and spells. The black fog endured these attacks, and its surface tumbled as if it was boiling. Just as everyone was about to launch a second round of attacks, the black fog suddenly spread out and enveloped them. The noisy mountain path quieted down in an instant. The black fog swallowed everything and tumbled violently. After a moment, it shrunk back. More than 10 people lay on the ground, unconscious. They had no magic power left in their bodies. Not far away, a monk's staff had just given off a golden light, which dissipated in an instant. 2 blood-red light spots appeared in the black fog, and then an emotionless voice said, "Do you want to kill me too?" "Amitba." The monk touched his bald head and said, "Miss, you've misunderstood. I just want to ask for directions. May I know how to get to Yang County town?" No more sounds came from the black fog. It ignored the monk and went far away in an instant. What a heavy aura of resentment. The monk looked sad and murmured, "If this continues, I'm afraid she'll lose her mind and completely fall into the devil's path." He glanced at the direction where the black fog disappeared. He did not chase after it and slowly walked down the mountain. 15 minutes after his figure disappeared, a black-robed figure suddenly appeared here. The black figure looked at the fainted cultivators on the ground and curled his lips. His body turned into a cloud of black fog and pounced on them. Yang County Town Office. Li Mu just learned that more than 10 cultivators had died in the hands of the evil spirit. This was the first time she killed the cultivators who surrounded her. Before this, she would only suck their magic power dry. "Look, this is the evil spirit you sympathize with." The feminine man pointed at County Governor Chan and County Lieutenant Shun and scolded. "Don't think I don't know that when we surrounded the evil spirit, you were not willing to help at all. Now that 15 people are dead, are you satisfied?" County Governor Chen's face was gloomy. He said in a low voice, "The aura of resentment on her is too heavy. She has killed too many people. I'm afraid she has lost her mind." County Lieutenant Shin shook his head and sighed. "If that's the case, we must capture her as soon as possible." The feminine man snorted and said, "I'll give you 3 days. After 3 days, if you still can't capture the evil spirit, I'll report everything here to the imperial court." Amitba. Suddenly, a Buddhist chant was heard. A monk walked in from outside and said, "The deaths of the 15 people were not caused by this evil spirit." The feminine man looked at him and asked coldly, "Who are you?" County Lieutenant Shin walked forward and looked at the monk. He asked, "Master Xuandu, is there something else?" Xuandu saw Li Mu and nodded at him. He then explained, "I saw it with my own eyes. The evil spirit only sucked the 15 people's magic power and did not kill them. The culprit should be someone else." The feminine man frowned and said, "Why should I believe your one-sided story?" Xuandu said, "I can swear in the name of Buddha. Don't give me that. I don't believe in Buddha. It's useless for you to swear in the name of Buddha." The feminine man looked at County Governor Chan and said, "I'll only give you 3 days. After 3 days, if the evil spirit is not captured, you have to think about how to explain it to the imperial court." Xuandu chanted the Buddhist chant again and said, "If revenge breeds revenge, will there ever be an end to it? That evil spirit is very powerful. If we can guide it." The feminine man waved his hand and said, "This is the imperial court's business. It's not up to a monk like you to interrupt." Xuandu looked at him and said, "Please don't interrupt me." The feminine man said coldly, "So what if I interrupt you?" Xuandu said, "I'm trying to reason with you." The feminine man said, "There's no reason for me to reason with you. What this penniless monk hates the most are unreasonable people." Xuandu shook his head and didn't look at the feminine man again. He walked to Li Mu and said, "Benefactor Li, please help me with the monk's staff." Then he looked at Bai Xin beside Li Mu and said, "Snake demon girl, please help me with the alms bowl." "Thank you." She did not know when County Governor Chun had entered the room. County Governor Chun looked up at the sky and seemed to be thinking about something. When Li Mu looked up, Xuandu had already disappeared in front of him. Then he heard the sound of fists hitting flesh and Xuandu's familiar scolding. "Damn it! I gave you face, but you don't want it. I'm telling you, I've been tolerating you for a long time. What's wrong with the imperial court? So what if the imperial court doesn't care about the lives of the people and can't distinguish between right and wrong?" Li Mu had already known Xuandu's character. When he was still willing to reason with him, it was better to reason with him. When he was no longer willing to reason with him, it would be useless no matter how much he begged him. He would choose to use his fists to tell him what the real reason was. At this time, County Governor Chun was nowhere to be seen and County Governor Chun was absent-minded. The constables who were standing in the yard also chose to leave. Bai Xin held the alms bowl and stared blankly at the scene in front of her with her eyes wide open. The alms bowl fell from her hand and hit her feet, but she didn't notice it at all. Chapter 166. In the blink of an eye, the feminine-looking man was lying on the ground, motionless. Buddha is merciful. Xuandu wiped the bloodstains on his hands. His expression of compassion had returned to his face. He said in a low voice, "You can't be unreasonable." County Minister Chun, who had disappeared, appeared in the yard again. He bowed to Xuandu with one hand and said, "Master Xuandu, please." Xuandu took back the Buddhist staff from Li Mu's hand and picked up the alms bowl from the ground. He smiled at Li Mu and walked into the hall of the county office. The unconscious feminine-looking man was carried back by someone. Li Mu was about to return to the duty room when he heard a cry of pain. Green Snake held onto Li Mu's shoulder and lifted one of her legs. She was about to cry and said in pain, "My leg." Xiandu's alms bowl was a magic treasure. It was not light. An adult would have to use all his strength to barely carry it. The alms bowl had fallen and hit her foot. It seemed that she was not lightly hit. Li Mu saw her painful expression and cold sweat on her forehead. He asked, "Is it very painful?" Green Snake gritted her teeth and said, "Nonsense. I'll try hitting you." Li Mu shook his head indifferently and said, "Then you can feel the pain yourself." After that, he turned and walked to the duty room. Green Snake's face was full of hatred. She limped into the duty room after him. In the hall of the county office, County Minister Chun looked at Xuandu and said with a smile, "Master Xuandu, I haven't seen you for a long time. Your mana has improved a lot." Xuandu smiled and asked, "Who was that unreasonable person just now?" County Minister Chun said, "He was an imperial envoy from the imperial court. He was in charge of supervising the murder of the county magistrate of Yang County." Xuandu furrowed his brows and said, "Has the imperial court fallen so far that such a person who is unclear about good and evil, who cannot distinguish right from wrong, can become an imperial envoy?" County Magistrate Chan shook his head and said, "The officialdom is far more complicated than Master Xuandu can imagine. The wife of the county magistrate of Yang County is the sister of the assistant minister of the Ministry of Personnel. I'm afraid he's the one behind all this. I've already handed the people's petition to the county magistrate. The county magistrate will personally go to Zhong County to meet His Majesty." Xuandu put his palms together and said, "Those who win the hearts of the people win the world. I hope the imperial court can give justice to the girl and the people of Yang County. Grandmaster, please believe in the imperial court and His Majesty." County Governor Chun heaved a sigh of relief and said, "The most important thing now is to find that evil spirit. We can't let her continue to do whatever she wants. We have to find the culprit behind this and return peace to Yang County." After saying that, County Governor Chan suddenly said, "I wonder if Master Puji can help to convert this evil spirit?" Xuandu said, "Uncle Master has been in seclusion since last month to meditate on freedom. I don't know when he will come out." County Governor Chan sighed and said, "Master Puji's dharma is profound. If he can help, he will definitely be able to eliminate the evil spirit's chi of Yin and convert her. If the imperial court sends someone else, I'm afraid her soul will dissipate." In the duty room where Li Mu was, he put down his pen and rubbed between his eyebrows. His head was buzzing. Bai Tingxin's foot was hit by Xuandu's alms bowl. It seemed to be a little serious. She was in so much pain that she lay on the table and cried. Her crying annoyed Li Mu. She was a snake demon in human form. Even if her legs were broken, she would not be like this. The problem was that Xuandu's alms bowl was not an ordinary object. It had been blessed by the light of Buddha for many years. She was hit by the alms bowl. Even if she ran her mana to heal herself, it was useless. Li Mu had a headache because of her noise. He simply walked out of the duty room. Out of sight, out of mind. After a while, Li Si also walked out of the duty room. He glanced at him and asked, "Aren't you going to help her?" Li Mu was surprised and said, "Didn't you say that if I don't like a woman, I shouldn't be too nice to her and it's best not to provoke her? Besides, if I get too close to her, how can I explain it to Han Yen?" Different from when he was in Yangqiu County, Li Mu was now considered a man with a family. When he met other women outside, he had to be careful with his words and actions. He always thought of Lu Hanyen and remembered Li Si's teachings. Li Si rubbed between his eyebrows and said, It's mainly because of her noise that I have a headache. Besides, if she continues crying like this and others see her, they will think that you did something to her. Do you think you can explain it like this? Li Mu thought about it carefully and felt that Li Si's words made sense. If he let her continue crying like this, he was afraid that someone would really misunderstand. There were already people who misunderstood that he had hooked up with the White Demon King. In this way, the matter between him and the snake would be even more unclear. Therefore, Li Mu walked into the duty room and said to the sobbing Bai Tingxin, "Can you go somewhere else and cry? I can't read the file if you cry like this." Bai Tingxin raised her head and looked at him with tears in her eyes. She cried even louder. Li Mu covered his ears and gritted his teeth. "Fine. I'll take it that I'm scared of you." He squatted down and held Bai Tingxin's ankle. Feeling the intense pain from her foot, Bai Tingxin's tears rolled down her face. She scolded, "I'm already like this, and you're still bullying me." "Li Mu, you're not human." After scolding, she felt a tingling sensation from her foot. It didn't seem to hurt as much. This feeling made her feel comfortable to the bone. She almost couldn't help but moan. After a few short breaths, her pain completely disappeared. The golden light on Li Mu's hand disappeared. He stood up and looked at Bai Tingxin faintly. "I'm human, you're not." The place where she was hit didn't hurt as much. Bai Tingxin stood up and jumped around in disbelief. She found that no matter how she moved, it didn't hurt. Of course, she couldn't feel the comfortable feeling that made her intoxicated. She rolled her eyes and fell back into the chair. She frowned and said, "Ouch! It hurts." A few black lines appeared on Li Mu's forehead. There must be something wrong with this snake's brain. Even if he used the Buddha's light to heal her bruises, it couldn't withstand her torment. She reaped what she sowed. Li Mu didn't plan to help her anymore. Just as he was about to sit back in his seat, he heard another ear-piercing cry. Li Mu reached out and covered her mouth. When Bai Tingxin's eyes widened, Li Mu's hand suddenly hurt. He quickly withdrew his hand. Bai Tingxin said fiercely, "I said, if you touch my mouth again, I'll bite you." Then, she realized something and asked Li Mu, "Which hand did you use to touch my foot?" Li Mu raised the hand that was bitten by her. Bai Tingxin was stunned for a moment. She covered her mouth and ran out. She ran faster than when she wasn't injured. Li Mu immediately realized that she was faking it. Although the personalities of this pair of sisters were very different, they were the same in their love for freeloading. Arrestor Zhao walked in from outside. He looked back at Bai Tingxin, who was covering her mouth and running away. He looked at Li Mu in surprise. "It can't be." Li Mu asked, "It can't be what?" Arrestor Zhao was shocked. "Miss Tingxin is pregnant. Does the White Demon King know?" It wasn't easy for Li Mu to explain it to him. Arrestor Zhao was a little disappointed and said, "I thought you guys did it." If that's the case, the relationship between the county government and the White Demon King will be even closer. Maybe he'll help us this time. Li Mu didn't want to continue this topic. He asked, "How's the situation in Yang County?" "It's not optimistic." Arrestor Zhao shook his head and said, "The evil spirit is killing more and more people. Although the people she killed were all evil people. If this continues, the evil spirit on her body will become stronger and stronger. In the end, it might affect her mind. An evil spirit without a mind can't distinguish good from evil. It's a bigger threat to the North County than Chu Jiang of Gojoseon." His expression was serious as he continued. "What's worse is that Chu Jiang of Gojoseon has noticed the crisis in Yang County. The deaths of more than 10 cultivators were done by Chu Jiang of Gojoseon's people. Their goal is to muddy the waters in Yang County and force the evil spirit to stand against the government. At that time, the evil spirit might really stand with Chu Jiang of Gojoseon and become more difficult to deal with." Li Mu thought for a while and asked, "What will happen if the evil spirit falls into the hands of the imperial court?" Arrestor Zhao said, "Even if she has been wronged, she has committed an unforgivable crime. The chief culprits, like the county magistrate of Yang County, are already dead. She can't escape the dissipation of her soul." He sighed and said, "The evil spirit isn't something we can worry about. The county magistrate will deal with it. Those evil spirits under Chu Jiang of Gojoseon must be eradicated as soon as possible. We don't have enough people here. You and Miss Ting Xian will be in charge of a few villages in the east of Yang County. The situation in Yang County changed again and again in the past few days. Up until now, that ferocious spirit wasn't the most difficult to deal with. Even though she'd killed many people, and they were all treacherous villains that deserved to die, King Chujiang was different. Many cultivators had already died at their hands, and they'd shifted the blame to that ferocious spirit. While they were taking the opportunity to harvest the cultivators' souls, they also wanted to pull the evil spirit to their side. After Arrestor Zhao finished explaining Li Mu's task, Xuandu came in from outside. He bowed to Li Mu with one hand and said with a smile, "Benefactor Li, long time no see." Li Mu said, "Master Xuandu, long time no see. How is the abbot?" Xuandu said, "Benefactor Li saved my life. The abbot has completely recovered. He often misses Benefactor Li." It was not a good thing to be missed by Xuandu and the abbot of Jinshan Temple. Li Mu smiled and changed the topic. "Master Xuandu, are you also here for the evil spirit?" Xuandu said, "I wanted to send the evil spirit back to Jinshan Temple and use Dharma to reform her. I didn't expect her cultivation to be so profound. I'm not her opponent. If I can trap her, I'm afraid I'll need Benefactor Li's help." Li Mu didn't answer immediately. Instead, he looked at Xuandu and said, "I want Master Xuandu to promise me one thing." Xuandu said, "What is it?" Li Mu sighed and said, "That girl suffered a lot when she was alive. Even when she became an evil spirit, she never hurt innocent people. I hope you can save her." Xuandu didn't hesitate for long. He put his palms together and said, "Amit Ba, I promise you." "Damn you, Li Mu. You touched my feet and my mouth. You!" Bai Tingxin walked in angrily and pointed at Li Mu. She was about to speak when she suddenly saw Xuandu standing beside Li Mu. Xian Du revealed a benevolent expression and smiled at her. "Ah!" Bai Tingxin screamed, turned around, and ran out quickly. Chapter 167. Xuandu seemed to have left a huge psychological shadow on Bai Tingxin. When she came to the room for the second time, she poked her head out and looked around. When she saw that only Li Mu was there, she walked in with relief. "That monk left. He left." Bai Tingxin patted her flat chest and said, "That monk is too scary. I hate monks and their bowls." She moved a chair and sat in front of Li Mu. She stretched out her leg and said, "My leg still hurts. Can you treat it for me again?" Demons seemed to enjoy the feeling of Buddha's light entering their bodies. Bai Yinxin was like this. Bai Tingxin was like this. Even Xiao Bai liked to snuggle in Li Mu's arms and let Li Mu use Buddha's light to expel the demon aura for her. Of course, after she transformed, she could no longer enjoy this treatment. "I'm not your doctor. If it still hurts, you can use your mana to heal yourself." Li Mu rejected the green snake and said, "I still have errands to run. You can play here by yourself." Chu Jiang of Gojoseon's subordinates took advantage of this incident to wreak havoc in Yang County. Li Mu was responsible for the stability of several villages. Arrestor Zhao originally wanted him and Bai Tingxin to be in charge together so that they could take care of each other. However, Li Mu had Bai in his hands. Unless Chu Jiang of Gojoseon personally came, his ghost generals were not afraid at all. Bringing Bai Tingxin with him would be a burden. Seeing Li Mu leave alone, Bai Tingxin quickly chased after him and shouted, "Zhao said to let me go with you. Wait for me, Yang County inner office." The feminine man woke up from his bed and felt that his bones were falling apart. He roared, "Where is that damned monk? Men, take him down." Two figures walked in and said, "Sir, you're awake." The feminine man looked at the two divinity realm cultivators and said angrily, "You're only back now. Where the hell did you go?" The two of them looked at each other and said, "Didn't my lord ask us to capture that evil spirit?" The feminine man struggled to get up and asked, "Did you catch that evil spirit?" A Theurgy cultivator replied, "No, the two of us aren't her match." The feminine man gritted his teeth and said, Trash. Don't bother about that spirit. Go and capture that monk. He dared to murder an official of the imperial court. I want his head to roll. Another divine arts cultivator said, we can't capture that monk. He's a disciple of Heart Sect and has already cultivated a golden body. We can't beat him or capture him. The feminine man took a few deep breaths and calmed himself down. He said, no matter what, we have to give Lord Assistant Minister an explanation for this matter. Investigate it for me. Investigate the birth of that evil spirit. Investigate it thoroughly. Yang County, a village in the east. A black fog escaped from the village, but it was cut down by a sword light that came from behind. Li Mu killed a vengeful spirit that was harming the common people with a single sword strike and collected the scattered soul force. In another direction, there was a black fog that was about to escape into the distance. Li Mu wanted to give chase, but Bai Tingxin's voice came from behind. Don't move, let me do it. She quickly gave chase and shot out a green light. The green light entered the black fog, which churned for a while before gradually calming down. She extracted the soul force from the black fog and condensed it into a small ball. She ran to Li Mu and said, for you. Li Mu said, I can deal with it myself. Bai Tingxin stretched out her hand and said, I don't care. I killed that ghost anyway. Li Mu took the soul ball and didn't waste time talking to her. His palm emitted a golden light and touched Bai Tingxin's hand. Bai Tingxin closed her eyes and revealed a satisfied expression. After a while, Li Mu retracted his hand. She opened her eyes and said with dissatisfaction, how can you be so fast? The previous times were much longer than this time. Li Mu said, this ghost soul force is too weak. When you catch a powerful one next time, it will naturally take longer. Chu Jiang of Gojoseon took advantage of the situation. In the past few days, many ghosts appeared in Yang County, causing chaos in all the villages. Li Mu and the others followed the orders of the county governor to get rid of these ghosts. Li Mu was still in the soul condensing stage. Although the soul power of these evil ghosts was not much, it was better than nothing. Many little drops make an ocean, so it was still somewhat useful. Bai Tingxin saw that Li Mu needed the soul force, so she offered to help Li Mu kill the ghosts and retrieve their souls. Of course, it was not for free. Every time she killed a ghost, she would contribute a portion of soul force to Li Mu. She would ask Li Mu to use the Buddha's light to make her feel comfortable. After careful consideration, Li Mu realized that this was a profitable deal. He only needed to pay a little bit of magic power to get a free long-term job. Why not? The cooperation between the two continued happily. Most of the time, Li Mu needed to stand by and watch. Bai Tingxin would help him kill the ghosts and retrieve their souls. She would condense the soul force and send it over. This was the first time Li Mu felt that it was not a bad thing to have this snake by his side. Unfortunately, these ghosts were too weak. If he could kill 1 or 2 soul realm ghosts, it should be enough for him to condense the remaining 2 souls. Li Mu suddenly thought of something and a bold idea emerged in his mind. He sent a message to Madame Chu. Do you know where the 18 ghost generals under Chu Jiang of Gojoseon are? The ghost generals under Chu Jiang of Gojoseon were not gathered in one place. Like the green-faced ghost and Madame Chu, they had their own nests. The current Li Mu, with the help of Madame Chu, could easily deal with these 4th realm ghosts. Since Chu Jiang of Gojoseon could send his subordinates out to do evil, Li Mu could also take the initiative to find them. Madame Chu said, I don't know all of them. They are scattered all over the 13 counties in the North County. I only know a few of them. Although Li Mu did not want to be remembered by Chu Jiang of Gojoseon, he had already killed one of his ghost generals. Killing 1 or 2 was still killing. He might as well use them to help him condense his soul. After making up his mind, Li Mu stood up and said to Bai Tingxin, you go back to the county office first. I'll go out and do something. Bai Tingxin said, I'm not going. I want to go with you. Li Mu said, be good. Wait for me to go back. I'll let you feel comfortable for 2 hours. It's a deal. As soon as she finished speaking, Bai Tingxin disappeared in front of Li Mu at an incredible speed. Without her dragging him down, Li Mu did not have so many scruples. With a thought, Bai Yi flew out of the scabbard. Li Mu jumped on the sword and turned into a stream of light, quickly disappearing into the sky. In a valley in the north of Yang County. This valley was shrouded in smoke and miasma all year round. Very few people came close. It was rumored that there were man-eating evil spirits in this valley. Although no one had ever been eaten, the nearby people would take a detour when they came here. Even hunters and woodcutters would not come close to this place. Outside the valley, a figure suddenly descended from the sky. Li Mu felt the extremely dense yin qi in the valley and said, "You really know how to pick a place." Madame Chu revealed herself and said, "That red-haired ghost is here." She released her aura. After a while, thick fog rolled in the valley. A short man walked out of the thick fog. The man was short and only reached Li Mu's waist. He had conspicuous red hair. When he saw Madame Chu, he was shocked and said, "Madame Chu, you're not dead." He sized up Madame Chu and said in joy, "Not only are you not dead, but you've also advanced to the soul realm. Why are you looking for me? Have you thought it through and agreed to dual cultivate with me?" Madame Chu did not answer. What greeted the man was a sharp sword that shone with a cold light. The short man was shocked and said, "What are you doing? Are you crazy? Aren't you afraid of His Highness' punishment?" He hurriedly dodged and was slashed a few times by Madame Chu. His face was filled with anger and he said loudly, "Fine, if you want to play, I'll play with you." He stuck one hand into his chest and pulled out a huge mace from his body. Holding it with both hands, he waved it with the power of thunder. After the red-haired man had a weapon, Madame Chu could not gain the upper hand. Li Mu hid in the dark and watched. Although they were both at the fourth realm, Madame Chu had just advanced and her magic power was not as good as this red-haired ghost's. In the same realm, the difference in strength would be great. Those that Li Mu knew, such as Su He, Xuandu, and Commandery Officer Shin, were all at the peak of the fourth realm. The Tiger Demon and the Green Bull Demon were slightly weaker. Madame Chu, who had just advanced, would not be able to last long under their hands. According to Madame Chu, this crimson-haired ghost was a soul realm ghost cultivator, and he was ranked at the 14th position amongst the 18 ghost generals under King Chu Jiang. With Madame Chu's cultivation, it probably wouldn't be long before she lost. Li Mu walked out from behind the tree and formed a hand seal. Boom! A bolt of lightning descended from the sky and hit the red-haired ghost's head. All his hair stood on end. Although his soul was not directly destroyed, the aura on his body instantly withered. His originally solid soul body immediately became a little illusory. When Li Mu was in the soul-tempering realm, he could already kill third-realm demons with lightning techniques. Now that he was in the soul-condensing realm, although he could not kill fourth-realm demons instantly, this move could be used as a sneak attack. It could be used as a surprise attack and cause considerable damage to fourth-realm demons. Li Mu's sneak attack was successful. The red-haired ghost's body faded and his aura withered. Madame Chu instantly turned the situation around. The red-haired ghost was flustered and exasperated. He looked at Li Mu and said angrily to Madame Chu, "You actually colluded with humans. His Highness will not let you off." Boom! Another bolt of lightning struck his head. The red-haired ghost could not dodge in time and his body became even weaker. He was angry and shocked and hid back into the fog. Madame Chu did not waste the opportunity and chased after him with her sword. Li Mu felt waves of magic power coming from the fog. After a while, Madame Chu walked out of the fog with a solid soul ball floating in her palm. The 14th ghost general under Chu Jiang of Gojoseon was dead. Madame Chu handed the soul ball to Li Mu and said, "The 12th ghost general under Chu Jiang of Gojoseon is also in Yang County. Also, the Rakshasa ghost and the long-tongued ghost are in Yu County, which is adjacent to Yang County." Chapter 168. In the north of Yang County, a figure descended from the sky and landed on a cliff that was about 1,000 feet tall. A cloud of mist surged out of the Bai sword. Madame Chu appeared and said to Li Mu, "There's a ghost general under Chu Jiang of Gojoseon called the Big Head Ghost. He's ranked 12th among the 18 ghost generals. His strength is even stronger than the red-haired ghost. He lives in a cave under this cliff. Li Mu looked at the cliff below and said, "Go down and lure him up. I'll ambush him from above." Madame Chu nodded and flew down the cliff. She descended several dozen feet, and a pitch-black hole appeared on the cliff face. The hole was hidden under the weeds. If one didn't look carefully, it would be difficult to notice it. The inside of the hole was eerie. Madame Chu entered with her sword. Soon, a wave of magic power came from the hole. Not long after, Madame Chu escaped from the hole in a sorry state and floated up the cliff. A ghostly figure with a huge head chased out of the cave. This ghost's head was huge, and his body was only half the size of his head. His eyes were like lanterns, and there was a huge dustpan-like mouth on his face. Traces of black liquid flowed down from the corner of his mouth. He grinned his terrifying huge mouth and clicked his tongue. "It's actually Madame Chu. She's even advanced to the soul realm. If I can devour her, my strength will be able to enter the top 5 ghost generals and be put in an important position by His Highness." The big head ghost raised his head to take a look and quickly chased after them. However, just as he flew up the cliff, a purple lightning bolt descended from the sky and struck his head. Madame Chu disappeared. A young man holding the sword she was holding just now was looking at him with a smile. This was the last consciousness of the big head ghost. The purple lightning directly erased his intelligence and turned his body into soul power. Li Mu stretched out his hand. The soul power of the big head ghost turned into a soul ball and was absorbed into his body. Madame Chu's magic power was much weaker than Su He's at that time. When he was possessed by Su He, Li Mu's Thunder Dharma and various mystiques could rival those in the creation realm. However, by borrowing Madame Chu's dermic powers, Li Mu could only be invincible in the 4th realm. This was the most accurate assessment he had of his own strength after several battles. With the help of Dao techniques, he could unleash a shred of 5th-tier power. Killing a normal 4th-tier cultivator was not a problem. However, if he encountered a true 5th-tier cultivator, his power would still be insufficient. With this kind of strength, it was difficult to deal with Chu Jiang of Gojoseon, but it was easy to deal with the ghost generals under his command. According to Madame Chu, apart from the first ghost general under Chu Jiang of Gojoseon, the strongest of the other ghost generals was only at the peak of the 4th realm. Half a year ago, the first ghost general had just reached the specter realm under Chu Jiang of Gojoseon's nurturing. The middle 3 realms of ghost cultivators were the Baal Soul, Specter Soul, and Origin Soul. They corresponded to the Taoism's mystiques, creation realm, and Dongxian, and the Buddhism's golden body, Dharma idol, and freedom. Madame Chu, the red-haired ghost, and the big head ghost were Baal Souls. Su He was a Baal Soul that was very close to the Specter Soul. With Li Mu's current strength, it was nigh impossible for him to defeat a Specter Realm Phantom General. He collected his thoughts and looked at Madame Chu. Next, Madame Chu thought for a moment and said, 50 li from here in Yu County, there's an abandoned old mansion. The Rakshasa ghost is there. He's ranked 9th among the 18 ghost generals. Feeling the surging soul power in his body, Li Mu's eyes burned with passion. He could condense all 3 souls if he killed another Baal Soul. Let's go. Yu County. In an unknown village, a ferocious-looking man was kneeling on the ground. His body was trembling as he pleaded, "Grandpa Ghost, please spare my life. I won't dare to do it again. I won't dare to do it again." In front of him, there was a human-shaped black mist. One could only vaguely make out the silhouette of a human within the black mist. There were 2 blood-red rays where the eyes should be, and they seemed to be able to draw one's soul away. The villagers were kneeling on the ground. Even though their faces were pale, there was a hint of delight in their eyes when they looked at the ferocious-looking man. The ferocious-looking man who was kneeling on the ground had lost his usual ferocity. His body was trembling uncontrollably, and there was a pungent smell coming from beneath him. "You deserve to die." An inhuman voice sounded from the black mist. As soon as the voice sounded, 3 silhouettes floated out from the ferocious-looking man's body. They turned into specks of light that were absorbed by the black mist. After absorbing the specks of light, the blood-red rays at the top of the black mist seemed to become even more glaring. The black mist swept away, and the villagers were still kneeling on the ground. After another quarter of an hour, a brave man stood up and ran to the side of the ferocious-looking man to take a look. He shouted, "Dead! He's dead!" When everyone heard this, they immediately became excited. "He's finally dead. We can live a good life in the future. The heavens have eyes. It's good that he's dead. It's good that he's dead." The last trace of fear they had for the ferocious spirit disappeared with the man's death. They all knelt on the ground and kowtowed in the direction that the black mist had disappeared. The black mist drifted all the way until it was blocked by a black-robed figure in a remote mountain. A voice quickly sounded from under the black robe. "I am the #1 ghost general under Chu Jiang of Gojoseon. Your Excellency has killed so many people. The Imperial Court will definitely send experts to eliminate you. No matter how high your Excellency's cultivation is, you won't be able to defeat the Great Zhou Court. Why don't you pledge allegiance to His Highness Chu Jiang of Gojoseon? His Highness will guarantee your safety." Scram. Without waiting for him to finish speaking, a cold and emotionless voice came from the black mist. The black-robed man said, "Your Excellency, you have to think carefully." The aura in the black mist became extremely unstable. The black-robed man's expression changed, and he immediately moved out of the way. Looking at the black mist drifting away, the fear on his face gradually disappeared. How could such a thing happen? His face was filled with disbelief as he muttered, "It's only been a few days and she already has such a terrifying cultivation. If this continues, I'm afraid it won't be long before even His Highness won't be her match." In the forest, 2 more ghosts floated out. One of them said with a trembling voice, "This ghost's pressure is even more terrifying than what His Highness gave me." The black-robed man looked at him and said, "That's because she doesn't know how to cultivate. If this continues, I'm afraid her intelligence will be assimilated by the ferocious spirit, and she will completely become a ferocious spirit that only knows how to kill. At that time, the northern county will be interesting." One of the ghosts laughed and said, "If that's the case, wouldn't it be even more beneficial for us?" The black-robed man stretched out his hands, and a soul ball condensed in each of his palms. He put the soul ball into the bodies of the 2 ghosts and said, "The green-faced ghost is dead, and Madame Chu is missing. There are only 16 of the 18 ghost generals left. This is the soul power of the cultivators I've collected over the past few days. The 2 of you are only a step away from the soul realm. When you go back, refine it well and try to advance to the soul realm as soon as possible." "Thank you, my lord." The 2 ghosts were so excited that their soul bodies trembled as they knelt on the ground to thank him. At this moment, another soul shadow rushed over from behind. Before it arrived, it shouted loudly, "My lord, bad news, bad news." The black-robed man said coldly, "What happened? Why are you in such a panic? Was the ferocious spirit captured?" "No, no," the soul shadow said with a trembling voice. "The red-haired ghost, the big-headed ghost, and the Rakshasa ghost, they were killed." "What?" The black-robed man's expression changed when he heard this. He grabbed the soul shadow's neck and said angrily, "What did you say? Say it again." The soul shadow said in fear, Their soul lamps were extinguished." Just as he finished speaking, black fog kept surging out from the black-robed man's body. That was a sign that he was extremely angry and his magic power was out of control. They had spent countless resources to create the 3 Soul Realm Ghost Generals. They had only created 15 Ghost Generals of this level in 5 years. The death of these 3 Ghost Generals was equivalent to their 1 year of hard work being in vain. How did that person know where they were? The black-robed man's voice was extremely cold and suppressed to the extreme. "There must be a mole among us." Chapter 169. Yu County. In an ancient tomb somewhere in the mountains, a cloud of gray mist covered an area of dozens of feet. Li Mu formed a seal with his hands. Suddenly, a gust of wind blew and the gray mist gradually dissipated. Whoosh! A blood-red tongue suddenly flew out from the mist. It was extremely fast and created a gust of wind. It went straight for Li Mu's head. Clang! Li Mu slashed out. The bai sword struck the tongue and produced a metallic sound. Sparks flew from the tongue and it suddenly retracted. The mist was completely blown away by the gust of wind, revealing a thin, ghostly figure inside. Chu Jiang of Gojoseon's 18 ghostly generals. Apart from Madame Chu, 4 of them were in Yang County and Yu County. The red hair ghost and the big head ghost in Yang County had already been killed by Li Mu. A few hours ago, the Rakshasa ghost hiding in an abandoned house in Yu County had also been killed by the bai sword. The last long-tongued ghost lived in this ancient tomb. It was not weak and was ranked 7th among the 18 ghostly generals. It had been resisting Li Mu for a long time. The thin ghostly figure was covered in black gas, only revealing 2 eyes. His eyes were glowing fiercely as he looked at Madame Chu and said angrily, "Damn it, Madame Chu! You actually betrayed His Highness. Have you ever thought about your end?" Madame Chu floated above and said coldly, "Worry about your fate first." After saying that, she urged Bai to meet the attack head-on. The long-tongued ghost used its tongue as a weapon. Its tongue was extremely flexible and could be hard or soft. It was actually on par with Madame Chu, who was wielding the bai sword. This was even after Li Mu had exhausted most of its spiritual energy. After all, as the 7th ghostly general, its strength was much higher than Madame Chu's. Li Mu stood far away. Occasionally, he would send down a bolt of lightning. Although the long-tongued ghost dodged most of the time, it was still flustered. Madame Chu seized the opportunity and gradually gained the upper hand. The long-tongued ghost tried to escape several times, but was forced back by Li Mu's lightning technique. He was struck by Madame Chu's sword again. He couldn't help but feel anxious and angry. He asked, "Damn it! Do you dare to fight me for real without looking for help?" Madame Chu sneered, and the momentum of her sword became even sharper. The long-tongued ghost had already lost more than half of his mana, and was gradually losing ground to Madame Chu. After being stabbed a few more times, he was accidentally struck by a bolt of lightning, and his soul was already extremely illusory. Just as he was about to fall into despair, a monstrous killing intent suddenly came from the distant horizon, followed by an extremely angry voice. "You're courting death." Sensing this extremely familiar voice, the long-tongued ghost heaved a sigh of relief and exclaimed, "Lord Soul, save me." When Madame Chu felt this incomparably powerful aura, her expression changed drastically. Taking advantage of the moment when the long-tongued ghost relaxed, she pierced her sword through his chest and absorbed all of his soul energy. Then, she quickly flew to Li Mu's side and said anxiously, "Benefactor, leave quickly. He's the 1st ghost general under Chu Jiang of Gojoseon. He has already become a ghost spirit." A ghost spirit was equivalent to a cultivator in the creation and golden body realms. In terms of aura, he was slightly weaker than Master Puji of the Jinshan Temple. Li Mu held the bai sword in one hand and formed a seal with the other. He said quietly, "Heaven and earth are limitless, borrow the power of the universe. The power of the universe is born from the heart, and it grows endlessly. Heavenly Lord Tai, as the law commands." The bai sword buzzed, and countless sword shadows appeared behind Li Mu's back. Tens of thousands of swords moved together and slashed towards the black shadow in the distance. The black shadow's body suddenly exploded, turning into countless black gas. After the sword shadows slashed past, the black gas gathered together again. The art of soul division. Li Mu's heart skipped a beat. According to honored Master Thousand Illusions memories, soul cultivators who mastered this secret magic would be able to split their soul body into smaller parts when their life was in danger. That way, they would be able to avoid large-scale attacks. Li Mu did not hesitate to flee on his sword. The demon-slaying protection spell was the strongest move he could use at the moment, but it could not do anything to the 1st ghost general. Other than running away, he had no other choice. Using the army formula, he was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, he appeared 1,000 feet away and sped in a certain direction. "You can't run away. After witnessing the death of the long-tongued ghost with his own eyes, and in just a few short months, only 12 of the 18 ghost generals remained, the black figure known as Lord Soul was enraged. He quickly chased in the direction Li Mu had fled in, his extremely cold voice echoing in the air. I will grind your bones and scatter your ashes, extract your soul, and refine it. I will make your soul suffer the pain of being burned by ghost fire every day. Li Mu heard the threat of the first ghost general behind him and fled even faster. He pulled away from the black shadow again. Although he could not defeat the other party, he could not easily catch up. After killing 4 of Chu Jiang of Gojoseon's ghost generals, the first ghost general was obviously furious. He chased and cursed. Those who did not know better would think that Li Mu had dug up his grave and scattered his ashes. Li Mu channeled his mana, and the distance between the two was pulled apart again. He looked behind him and shook his head. It's just 4 ghost generals who died. Is there a need to fight so hard? Madame Chu thought for a moment and said, Chu Jiang of Gojoseon seems to value the 18 ghost generals very much. For the past 5 years, he has always wanted to raise all of us above the soul realm and give us all the soul power he obtained. 18 soul realm. Li Mu thought for a moment and suddenly exclaimed, he can't be thinking of setting up the 18 prison formation, right? Over the past few days, Li Mu had digested a lot of the memories left behind by Venerable Thousand Illusions. He also had some understanding of some demonic methods. The 18 Hell Grand Formation was an extremely formidable Devil Dao Grand Formation. It was set up by 18 ghost cultivators at the ferocious soul realm, and coupled with King Chu Jiang taking the lead, it was capable of trapping a 6th realm expert at the profound insight realm to death. The 18 ghost generals corresponded to the 18 hells. Chu Jiang of Gojoseon had painstakingly cultivated the 18 ghost generals. If it wasn't because he had obsessive-compulsive disorder, then it was because he wanted to complete the 18 prison formation. Of course, 5 of his 18 ghost generals had already died at the hands of Li Mu, and 1 had become Li Mu's ghost. There were only 12 of the 18 ghost generals left. At most, he could set up the 10 ghost trapping formation, and there would be 2 more substitutes. Without 8 ghost generals, the power of the formation would be reduced by more than half. It would only be left with less than 30%. No wonder this ghost general wanted to kill him. If it were Li Mu, he wouldn't be able to tolerate it either. There were ghosts chasing closely behind him, and he couldn't shake them off for a while. Li Mu changed direction and flew towards the mountains in the distance. As soon as he was chased by the first ghost general, he already had a plan in mind. The first ghost general's murderous aura was monstrous. Li Mu flew straight to a familiar mountain. Just as the ghost general was about to reach the mountain, a powerful demonic aura suddenly came from the mountain, followed by a cold snort. Scram! The ghost general's body quickly came to a halt as he stared at the mountain peak with a look of dread. In the north region, there was only one person who could have such a demonic aura. He floated in the air and clasped his fists. He said, Greetings, White Demon King. I am the first ghost general under Chu Jiang of Gojoseon. I have no intention of disturbing you. This person killed 4 of my ghost generals. Please hand him over to me. An emotionless voice came from the mountain. If you don't scram in 3 breaths, you can stay here forever. Does the Demon King want to go against His Highness? 1. White Demon King, you. 2. Before the word 3 came out, the ghost swept up a black fog and flew away without looking back. Li Mu landed somewhere in the mountain and clasped his fists. He said to the middle-aged man in front of him, Thank you for saving me, White Demon King. The White Demon King asked, How did you offend Chu Jiang of Gojoseon? Li Mu said, Chu Jiang of Gojoseon ordered his subordinates to do evil in Yang County. I killed a few of his ghost generals. The White Demon King had a strange expression. He said, Most of the ghost generals under Chu Jiang of Gojoseon are at the 4th realm. I didn't misjudge you to be able to kill them at the 2nd realm. Li Mu smiled embarrassedly. The White Demon King did not mention this matter again. He said, Ting Xin has troubled you these days. There's no trouble. In front of the White Demon King, Li Mu naturally could not despise his daughter. He said, "In the past few days, Miss Tingxin has also helped the people get rid of evil and killed several evil ghosts. Tingxin is stubborn. Little brother, you have suffered." The White Demon King looked into the distance and said, "That ghost hasn't left yet. I'll get second brother and third brother to escort you back." Bai Yinxin ran out from behind and said, "I want to go too." When he saw Bai Yinxin, Li Mu's legs went weak out of reflex. The White Demon King asked, "What are you going to do?" Bai Yinxin said, "I'm worried about Tingxin outside. I want to protect her." In the end, the White Demon King agreed to let Bai Yinxin go with him. This made Li Mu feel a little guilty because the way the two sisters looked at him was the same. The current Bai Yinxin was already a core formation realm demon cultivator and was not weak. Under the White Demon King's instructions, she escorted Li Mu back to Yang County with the Green Bull Demon, the Tiger Demon, and the Rat Demon. Chapter 170. The Green Bull Demon and the Tiger Demon had already condensed their cores for many years. When the two of them joined forces, they could even suppress Su He. With Bai Yinxin and the Rat Demon, the two core condensation demons, the first ghost general did not appear again. Although he was a fifth realm ghost and might not be afraid of them joining forces, he was still afraid of the White Demon King. Bai Tingxin waited anxiously at the entrance of the county office. When she saw Bai Yinxin, she said in surprise, "Sister, why are you here?" Bai Yinxin snorted and asked, "Don't you want me to come?" Bai Tingxin quickly said, "No, no." The Green Bull Demon and the Tiger Demon followed Li Mu to the county office to escort him and bring the Rat Demon to admit his guilt. If other demons spread the plague in North County and cheated the people of their psyche power, they would not end well. However, County Magistrate Chun had to give face to the White Demon King. The Rat Demon stayed in the county office to make up for his mistakes, just like Bai Tingxin. Li Mu found Arrestor Zhao and asked, "How big is the credit for killing a ghost general in the Vicious Soul Realm? Can I enter the Earth Room to choose a treasure?" Fourth Realm Vicious Soul? Constable Zhao shook his head and said, "According to the rules, if you kill a fourth realm demonic ghost, you can choose a treasure from the Xian House. You were able to enter the Xian House the last 2 times because the county magistrate made an exception." Li Mu asked again, "If I can't kill one, what about 4? Arrestor Zhao was stunned and said, "Well, I have to ask the county magistrate." Not long after, he walked out of the front hall and said, "The county magistrate asked you to enter." Li Mu walked into the front hall of the county office and saluted, "Greetings, county magistrate." County Magistrate Shin held the gourd and drank a mouthful of wine. He said, "If you can kill one of King Chujiang's ghost generals in the Vicious Soul Realm, then when we return to the county magistrate's office, I will make an exception and allow you to enter the Earth Room to choose an item." Li Mu was delighted and asked, "If I can kill 4 of them, does that mean I can choose 4 treasures?" Commandery Captain Shin glanced at him and said, "I am a man of my word. If you can kill Chu Jiang of Gojoseon, I will give you the Earth Room." It was more appropriate for the county governor to say that. As a county lieutenant, he did not have such authority. However, Li Mu had no intention of killing Chu Jiang of Gojoseon. He released Mrs. Chu and said, "Show me the evidence." Madame Chu waved her hand, and 4 images appeared in the air. Cultivators in the Jushen realm could replay what they had experienced as if they were taking a selfie. Cultivators in Dongxian were even more powerful with the dark light technique. They could cross space and observe the scene in another place in real time. Li Mu pointed at the 4 images and said one by one, "This is the red-haired ghost, the 14th ghost general under Chu Jiang of Gojoseon. This is the big-headed ghost, the 12th ghost general under Chu Jiang of Gojoseon. This is the Rakshasa ghost, the 9th ghost general under Chu Jiang of Gojoseon. This is the long-tongued ghost, the 7th ghost general under Chu Jiang of Gojoseon." County Magistrate Shun spat out the wine in his mouth and said in surprise, "You killed 4 more." Li Mu smiled and said, "Mrs. Chu happened to know where these 4 ghost generals were. They had done a lot of evil anyway, so I killed them." "Good. County Magistrate Shin stood up and said, I was right about you. When we return to the county office, I will allow you to choose 4 treasures in the earth room. Thank you, sir. Li Mu walked out of the front hall with satisfaction. When he arrived at the county office, he finally experienced the joy of being a constable. Not only could he get rid of evil for the people, but he could also gain soul power. When he returned to the county office, he would be rewarded handsomely. Double the reward, double the joy. When he walked into the courtyard, he saw the 2 snakes. Bai Tingxin glanced at Li Mu and said, You said it. 2 hours. In order to not let the green snake drag him down, Li Mu promised her that he would let her enjoy the light of Buddha for 2 hours after they returned. It was not good to go back on his word now. He walked in front of Bai Tingxin and said, Let's go. Bai Yinxin asked suspiciously, What 2 hours? Bai Tingxin whispered a few words in her ear. No. Bai Yinxin shook her head and said firmly, You have already transformed into a human. You have to learn human etiquette. Haven't you heard that men and women should not touch each other? Li Mu agreed with Bai Yinxin. He had accumulated the soul power of the 4 ghost generals in his body. He wanted to refine them as soon as possible so that he could condense the 3 souls as soon as possible. He did not want to waste time on Bai Tingxin. Bai Tingxin shook her head and said, I don't care. I am not a human. I will not learn their etiquette. Bai Yinxin grabbed her wrist and said, I am your sister. I have the responsibility to discipline you on behalf of father. Don't, sister. Bai Tingxin looked at her pitifully and said, I helped him catch so many ghosts in exchange for this. I have been waiting for a long time. Bai Yinxin said firmly, No. I said no, and it means no. Bai Tingxin hugged her arm and shook it gently. She said, How about I give you an hour? Bai Yinxin glared at her and said, Do you think I will be tempted by you? After a while, Li Mu walked into the room. He turned around and asked, Which one of you will go first? Bai Tingxin said, You are the elder sister. You go first. Bai Yinxin said, The elder sister should give way to the younger sister. You go first. Li Mu thought for a while and asked for their opinion. Why don't you go together? The 2 sisters each had an hour. They would still waste 2 hours. It was better to go together. This way he could save an hour. In terms of time management, Li Mu was very serious. After the 2 snakes discussed, they felt that there was no difference between who would go first and who would go later. They did not raise any objections. Li Mu wanted to just stay in the room. However, Bai Tingxin said that she wanted to go to the inn where she was staying. That way she could lie down. Lying down was obviously more comfortable than sitting. Li Mu did not want to go through so much trouble. However, on second thought, there were too many people in the county. There might be people talking behind his back. It was better to go outside. He nodded and said, Then let's go to your place. Seeing the 3 of them walk out of the county office, a county yamen constable poked his head out of the room and said, Tisk Tiske, it's good to be young. Another constable added, It's useless to be young. You also need to be handsome. Another constable said, It's not enough to be young and handsome. Women these days still like men with strength. Young, handsome, and strong. Highly regarded by the county governor. Not everyone is Li Mu. So, Li Mu has already taken the 2 daughters of the White Demon King. Isn't it obvious? Yang County. On the street, Li Si put his arm around Zhang Shan's shoulder and asked, Why are you here? Zhang Shan said, It's because Lady Lu is worried about Li Mu. She left for so many days without any news. I came to take a look. What can happen to Li Mu? I'll take you to the county office to find him. Li Si had just opened his mouth when he suddenly realized something. He pointed ahead and said, There's no need to go to the county office. Isn't that him? Li? Zhang Shan raised his hand and waved at Li Mu. Seeing him enter the inn with 2 young women, he was stunned for a moment and said in disbelief, Li Mu actually brought other women to the inn. And there are 2 of them. An hour later, Li Mu came out of the room on the 2nd floor of the inn. When he walked down the stairs, his legs went weak and he almost fell down. Fortunately, a pair of hands reached out from the side and caught him in time. Li Mu turned his head and was about to thank him. When he saw the person, he was stunned and asked, "Why are you here?" Zhang Shan shook his head and said, "Li Mu, you disappoint me. Do you know how worried Lady Lu is about you? You actually brought women to a place like this." Li Mu explained, "You're mistaken. They're not human." Zhang Shan said, "I saw it with my own eyes. You don't have to lie to me. Although I work for Lady Lu, we're brothers. I'll help you hide it this time, but there won't be a next time." Li Mu said helplessly, "It's not what you think." Zhang Shan sighed and said, "Do you think I'm easy to fool? Or did you just sit in the room with those two women for an hour and drink tea and chat?" In fact, Li Mu really only sat there for an hour. He didn't even drink tea. He didn't want to waste time explaining and shook his head. "Go back and tell them that the matter in Yang County will take some time. When it's settled, I'll go back." In a first-class room on the second floor of the inn, Bai Yinxin and her sister showed a satisfied expression at the same time. Bai Tingxin moaned comfortably and said, "Sister, I feel that my cultivation has improved a little. Why don't we capture him and bring him back to help us improve our cultivation every day?" Bai Yinxin glanced at her and said, "Stop dreaming. Father won't let you do that. Is there any way to do this every day?" Bai Tingxin held her chin with one hand and suddenly said, "Why don't I just marry him? If I marry him, we can be together every day." Bai Yinxin glanced at her. She used to have such naive thoughts like her sister. Today, she already knew that marriage wasn't something that could be casually said. Every time she thought of the situation at that time, she wanted to find a hole to hide in. In the past few months, she missed the experience of that time. She missed the house in the water and even thought of Li Mu more often. She looked at Bai Tingxin and said, "If you marry him, you won't just do this every day. You'll have to wash his clothes and cook for him. You'll also have to sleep with him and give birth to his children." "Ah, so it's so troublesome to get married. Then I'd better not get married." Bai Tingxin suddenly changed her mind and said, "Forget it. Even if I want to marry him, he won't like me. He already has a woman he likes." Bai Yinxin was stunned and asked, "What? He has a woman he likes?" Bai Tingxin was surprised and said, "Why are you making such a fuss?" For some reason, Bai Yinxin suddenly had a sour feeling in her heart and asked, "What does the woman he likes look like?" Bai Tingxin's face showed jealousy and said, "She's very beautiful. She has big breasts and a perky butt. Why do men like women like that? It'll be great if I'm a fox. Fox spirits have great figures. I can charm him to death." The black fog collapsed, but it condensed back together in the blink of an eye. However, its aura was weaker than before. Commander Captain Shan shook his head and said, "Although her mana is strong, she doesn't know anything about ghosts. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been defeated so easily." County Minister Chun looked worried and said, "The resentment in her body is getting stronger. The stronger the resentment, the stronger her strength will be. If she continues to be pressured like this, something might happen." A golden light flashed in Li Mu's eyes. When he looked at the black fog again, he realized that the color of blood was even stronger. At this moment, the azure-robed man formed a seal. The azure-robed man's flying sword shined brightly and condensed into a huge azure-robed sword in the air. He waved his hand and the huge sword slashed down at the black fog with lightning speed. There was no change in the black fog, but a cloud of thick black gas suddenly appeared under the ground. The black gas condensed into a huge knife and met the green light sword shadow. When the knife and the sword met, they were instantly annihilated. A strong blast of air spread out from the center of the collision. The clothes of the people in the distance were fluttering because of the blast of air. Li Mu looked at the black-robed man who appeared beside the evil spirit and quietly retreated behind County Minister Chun and Commander Captain Shin. The first ghost general did not notice Li Mu. Instead, he looked at the evil spirit and said, "See, this is the face of the imperial court. They don't care how much injustice you have suffered. They watched helplessly as the corrupt official harmed you. If you kill the corrupt official for revenge, they will destroy your soul. Instead of dying in their hands, why not join us and fight against this hypocritical and unfair world? Commandery Captain Shun looked at the black-robed man and slowly walked out. His eyes were full of killing intent. In the next moment, he suddenly stopped in his tracks. At the same time, everyone present felt that the surrounding temperature seemed to have dropped. Rumble. They looked up and saw that there were dark clouds gathering quickly in the sky. Lightning flashed, and there seemed to be countless thunderbolts brewing in the dark clouds. Heavy snow fell from the sky, bringing with it a bone-piercing chill. County Minister Chun and the azure-clothed man's faces suddenly became extremely serious. Boom! A huge purple thunderbolt suddenly fell from the sky and struck the azure-clothed man directly. The thunderbolt was extremely fast. The azure-clothed man hurriedly recalled his flying sword to block it. The flying sword dimmed under the purple thunderbolt. The azure-clothed man fell rapidly. When he landed on the ground, a trace of blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. The first ghost general was stunned for a moment and said with joy, "That's it." County Minister Chun was shocked and murmured, "Taoist techniques?" In the black fog, a red light emerged and an inhuman voice was heard, "All of you must die." County Minister Chun looked regretful and said, "She has completely lost her consciousness." After the strange phenomenon occurred, the evil spirit's aura was rising rapidly. The azure-clothed man looked at County Minister Chun and said angrily, "What are you waiting for?" County Minister Chun appeared beside him and said, "If you did not trigger her resentment, how could this happen?" The azure-clothed man said coldly, "It's useless to say this now. She has lost her humanity. If we don't get rid of her today, there will be endless trouble in the future. Let's work together and get rid of her as soon as possible." The ghost general sneered and said, "You can try." In the blink of an eye, 2 more thunderbolts fell from the dark clouds. A bronze bell flew out from the azure-clothed man's sleeve and covered his head. The thunderbolts fell on the bronze bell and only made a bell sound before they disappeared. An ancient shield appeared in County Minister Chen's hand. He threw the ancient shield out and the shield expanded rapidly. The thunderbolts fell on the shield and disappeared without a sound. The dark clouds covered a large area, and several bolts of lightning struck towards the heads of Li Mu and the others. The thunderbolts were white and were not as powerful as the ones that attacked the azure-clothed man and County Minister Chun. County Lieutenant Shin made a gesture and a translucent light shield appeared. The white thunderbolts hit the light shield and were absorbed by the light shield. Li Mu looked up at the thunderbolts outside the light shield and a mysterious feeling arose in his heart. It was as if the thunderbolts would disappear with just a thought. So he really thought so. A few thunderbolts disappeared suddenly before they hit the light shield as if they had never appeared. Arrestor Zhao was puzzled. He scratched his head and asked, "Why did they disappear?" County Lieutenant Shun, who was trying his best to maintain the light shield, suddenly turned around and looked at Li Mu with surprise and astonishment. Li Mu looked at the dark clouds in the sky and the mysterious feeling rose again. It was as if the dark clouds in the sky would disappear completely with just a thought. Li Mu looked at the ghost general who was fighting with County Minister Chun, and a thought came to his mind. A thick purple thunderbolt suddenly fell and struck the ghost general's head. The ghost general's body broke into pieces and then reformed. He dodged the thunderbolt that was enough to seriously injure him. He looked back at the black fog and shouted angrily, "What are you doing?" The black fog surged. In the fog, 2 blood-red eyes suddenly looked in the direction of Li Mu. The moment it saw Li Mu, the black fog began to churn violently as if it was boiling. In the next moment, the dark clouds in the sky dissipated and the black fog actually disappeared into the distance in an instant. This was beyond everyone's expectations. The ghost general saw this and was stunned for a moment before he fled without hesitation. The evil spirit escaped and he was the only one left. He was no match for the 2 creation realm cultivators. County Minister Chun and the man in green did not chase after him. They stood where they were and looked a little surprised. After a while, County Minister Chan shook his head and said, "The evil spirit is too strong and has the help of the ghost general. We can't subdue her with just the two of us. Let's go back to the county office and discuss further." Li Mu had just returned to the county office when Arrestor Zhao came in and said, "His Excellency is looking for you." Li Mu knew that what happened just now had attracted County Lieutenant Shin's attention, although he did not want others to know that he was the cause of the evil spirit's appearance. He also knew that the reason why the Yamen had not investigated this matter was because the matter of the evil spirit had not been solved. When the matter in County Yang was settled, they would definitely investigate the Yunyan Pavilion. At that time, if Li Mu did not take the initiative to come forward, Lu Hanyan would have to bear all the responsibility. Arrestor Zhao brought Li Mu over and left. Li Mu walked into the front hall and found that County Lieutenant Shin and County Minister Chun were both there. County Lieutenant Shin looked at him and said, "Sit down." Li Mu found a chair and sat down. He knew County Minister Chun and County Lieutenant Shin well. Instead of waiting for the imperial court to find out, it was better to be honest with them. County Lieutenant Shin asked directly, "What happened just now?" Li Mu said directly, "It was me." County Minister Chun was shocked and said, "How could you control the Taoist magic arts of the evil spirit? Unless it was you who created this Taoist magic arts." Li Mu explained in detail, "I was the one who told the story of Do Yi's injustice in the tea house. At that time, I also didn't know that that line of the play would trigger a vision of heaven and earth and create this kind of Taoist technique." Sure enough, County Lieutenant Shin's face showed that he understood and said, "Although you didn't create this Taoist magic arts were created because of you. That evil spirit was also born because of you." Li Mu asked, "Will the imperial court hold me accountable for this?" County Minister Chun thought for a while and said, "The county governor has already gone to the capital to meet the emperor, but there is no result yet. Although this happened because of you, it is not your fault. If the imperial court holds you accountable, the county government will do its best to protect you. I have a perfect plan." At this moment, a voice suddenly came from outside. Xuandu walked in from outside and looked at Li Mu. He said, "If Benefactor Li becomes a monk in the Jinshan Temple, you will be a disciple of Buddhism. Although the evil spirit was born because of you, it is not your fault. If the imperial court holds you accountable, we Buddhists can take care of it." Chapter 172. County Commandant Shin thought for a while and said, "That's a good idea. Li Mu, you can think about it. Even if the county government can't protect you, the heart sect can. After you escape this disaster, you can return to the secular world and it won't affect your marriage." Xuandu looked at County Commandant Shin but did not say anything in the end. County Minister Chun shook his head and said to Li Mu, "You don't have to worry too much. In recent days, the matter of the evil spirit has spread to all the counties. The people know who is right and who is wrong. The most important thing now is to convert the evil spirit. If her spiritual intelligence is completely eroded by the evil spirit, for the safety of the people in North County, we have to get rid of her. She can still be saved now." County Commandant Shin reminded him, "The stronger her resentment, the stronger she will be. If we push her too hard, it will be counterproductive." County Commandant Chun thought for a while and looked at Li Mu. He said, "Whoever started the trouble should untie it. That evil spirit was born because of Li Mu. I'm afraid only you can convert her." Li Mu nodded and said, "I'll try. There's no time to lose. We have to settle this before the imperial court sends more experts. If this continues, we won't be able to deal with it." County Commandant Chun said again. Xuandu stepped forward and said, "I'm willing to go with Benefactor Li to find the evil spirit." County Commandant Chun and County Commandant Shin had reached an agreement with Li Mu and Xuandu about the evil spirit. County Commandant Chun stayed in the county government and delayed the creation realm expert from the imperial court. Li Mu, Xuandu, and County Commandant Shin left the county government to find the evil spirit. The three of them stood on the flying boat. County Commandant Shin sighed and said, "Dozens of years ago, someone died with great resentment and turned into an evil spirit, Her strength was comparable to that of the sixth realm, Dongxian. However, after she took revenge, she did not stop. Instead, she brought disaster to the world. Thousands of innocent people died in her hands. That time, even the mighty Transcendence Realm expert was alarmed and killed her personally. This poor monk has also heard of this matter. Xuandu said, with the resentment of a mortal, they would at most turn into an evil spirit after death. That woman was wrongly killed by the authorities and turned into a malicious spirit. In reality, she was controlled by the demon sect, which is why she has such a terrifying cultivation level. This time, it's completely different. A mortal pointed at the sky and cursed before she died, and she was actually recognized by the heavens and earth. She has a 5th level cultivation level. Those who do good suffer poverty and have a shorter life, while those who do evil enjoy wealth and have a longer life. Bullying the weak and fearing the strong, unable to distinguish good from bad, misjudging the wise and the foolish. Xuandu looked at Li Mu and praised, pointing at the sky and cursing the earth. In today's world, only Benefactor Li has such courage. Li Mu said awkwardly, Master, you flatter me, flatter me. He wasn't that noble, nor was he that angry. At that time, he just wanted to help the Yunyan Pavilion attract more business. He didn't expect that just a few words would cause such a serious consequence and bring him a lot of trouble. County Captain Shin said regretfully, I thought that the incident decades ago would teach them a lesson. I didn't expect the same thing to happen decades later in the North County. Amitba. Xuandu shook his head and said, the people of this world are ignorant. They repeat the same mistake over and over again. This poor monk has saved countless people, ghosts, and demons over the years, and I finally realized that it's easier to save demons and ghosts than it is to save people. After leaving the county, County Captain Shin took out a compass. The needle on the compass spun quickly and finally pointed in a direction. Soul Realm ghost cultivators were able to conceal their auras and avoid the detection of talismans and magic treasures. However, the resentment of the ferocious spirit surged into the sky and it had killed many people, so it was surrounded by blood chi and baleful chi. Even if it was a few tens of kilometers away, it could still be easily noticed. The flying boat flew forward for a few miles and finally landed on a barren mountain. This was obviously a mass grave. There were protruding tombs everywhere. Some tombs had wooden tablets in front of them, but most of them were just lonely mounds. In front of one of the mounds, there was a cloud of black fog. The fog was tumbling and countless human faces appeared on the surface. These people looked ferocious and were roaring silently at Li Mu and the other two. Amitba. Xuandu said mercifully, Lady, there is no end to the sea of bitterness. Turn back and you will be saved. A painful voice came from the black fog. I can't turn back anymore. After this voice came out, the tone changed. 2 red lights shot out from the black fog and said coldly, Die, die, die. All of you will die. County Captain Shun shook his head and said, The murderous aura has already corroded her mind. She will soon become an evil spirit that only knows how to kill. Xuandu put down his Buddhist staff and said, If you want to save her, you have to get rid of the murderous aura outside her body. Seeing the black fog coming towards them, Li Mu took a step forward. The black fog suddenly stopped in mid-air. A painful voice came from the black fog again. No, no, I can't hurt Benefactor. Now, Xuandu suddenly said. His body emitted a golden light. County Captain Shin threw out a few flags. These flags were inserted deep into the ground. The flags flashed and formed a formation that trapped the black fog. When the black fog came into contact with the golden light, it made a chi sound and a painful roar came from the black fog. In the next moment, lightning flashed above the 3 of them. Dark clouds gathered again and snowflakes began to fall. Li Mu raised his head and glanced at the sky. With a wave of his sleeve, the dark clouds in the sky dissipated, and so did the lightning. He sighed. His palm emitted a faint golden light. He reached out his hand to the black fog and said, Stop. If this continues, there will be no turning back. The red light flickered and the black fog rolled violently as if it was struggling. Benefactor. Finally. A small trembling hand reached out from the black fog and slowly grasped Li Mu's hand. The golden light flowed through their hands and into the black fog. The black fog slowly dissipated and a young girl appeared. It was the young beggar that Li Mu had seen twice. She was surrounded by murderous aura and blood chi. She slowly knelt in front of Li Mu and cried, "Father is dead. I am also dead. I have killed so many people. Benefactor, what should I do?" Li Mu squatted down and gently stroked her hair. He said, "You are not wrong. It is us who have wronged you. It is the imperial court who has wronged you." What? The young girl threw herself into Li Mu's arms. Tears flowed out of her eyes. She cried so sadly that she wanted to die. She was a soul. As soon as her tears fell, they dissipated in the air. County Commandant Shin looked up at the sky and sighed. He looked guilty. Xuandu chanted the name of Buddha and looked sad. He looked at Li Mu and said, "If she goes back with you, she will be punished by the imperial court. The murderous aura in her is too strong. Can't be removed in a day. Why don't I take her back to the Jinshan temple and use the dharma of the monks to slowly remove the murderous aura in her body and help her transcend?" The murderous aura in her body was too strong. Li Mu's Heart Sutra could not remove it in one go. Going back to the Jinshan temple with Xuandu and using the dharma to slowly purify her was the best choice for her. Li Mu looked at the young girl and asked, "Are you willing to go back with Master Xuandu?" The young girl nodded and said, "I will listen to you, benefactor." Li Mu looked at her and said, "The murderous aura in your body is too strong. It will affect your mind and it will not be good for your future cultivation. Go back with Master Xuandu first. He can remove the murderous aura in your body and protect you." The young girl looked at the grave under her feet and said, "I want to erect a tombstone for my father." County Commandant Shin waved his hand and summoned a huge rock in the distance. Li Mu used his mind and Bai flew out. After a few strikes, the huge rock turned into a tombstone. At the young girl's request, Li Mu used Bai to carve 2 lines of words on the tombstone. Tomb of my late father, Mr. Su. Unfilial daughter, Xiaoyu. Su Xiaoyu was the young girl's name. The young girl knelt in front of the tombstone and kowtowed silently. After getting up, she knelt in front of Li Mu and kowtowed 3 times respectfully. She said, "Benefactor, I will repay your kindness in the future." Ba. Xuandu picked up the Buddhist staff and said, "Miss Xiaoyu, let's go." Xiaoyu bowed to Li Mu and left with Xuandu. In the end, Xuandu looked back at Li Mu and said, "If the imperial court makes things difficult for Benefactor Li, the door of the Jinshan temple will always be open for you." Watching Xuandu leave, County Commandant Shin put his hand on Li Mu's shoulder and said, Li Mu, you have really impressed me. I am looking forward to seeing what kind of waves you will make when you go to Zhong County." Li Mu sighed and said, "After this, I am afraid I will not be able to be a constable for long." "You won't," County Commandant Shen said with certainty. "Without people like you, the Great Zhou Court would be a pool of stagnant water. Those who do good suffer poverty and have a shorter life, while those who do evil enjoy wealth and have a longer life. Many people can see through this, but how many would dare to point at the sky and curse like you and say it out loud?" Li Mu breathed a sigh of relief that he could save the little beggar. He thought of something important and asked, "Sir, why can Xiaoyu use that Taoist technique, but I can't?" County Commandant Shin's eyes were deep as he said, "Taoist techniques are mysterious and vast. Until now, no one has been able to see through all of its mysteries. Although that Taoist technique was created by you, to use it, one needs to communicate with heaven and earth through grievances. You don't have her grievances, so naturally you can't use it." Li Mu was a little disappointed. The might of that Tao technique was even stronger than the Lin character. Perhaps even little Jade had not displayed its full might. She had created such a powerful thing, yet he himself was unable to use it. When the two returned to the county government on County Commandant Shin's flying boat, County Commandant Chun walked out of the front hall and looked at County Commandant Shin. County Commandant Shin glanced at Li Mu and nodded slightly to him. County Commandant Chen smiled and walked into the front hall again. He said to the man in black, "It's time to find that evil spirit." Chapter 173. The man in blue and County Minister Chun left the government office. 2 hours later, they came back. County Minister Chun walked into the government office and said regretfully, "There is no trace of her in the 13 counties in the North County. She either left the North County or was killed by a strong cultivator passing by. What a pity. She is also a pitiful person." The man in blue said with disdain, "This is the dirty business of the North County. Why are you sighing? If you are strict, how could such a tragedy happen?" County Minister Chin asked, "Fellow cultivator, you have lived in the Central County for a long time. Don't you know that there are some things that we can't do anything about?" The man in blue sneered and said, "You can't do anything before, but you can deceive people afterwards." County Minister Chun was puzzled and asked, "Fellow cultivator, what do you mean? These things have nothing to do with me. As long as the evil spirit doesn't cause trouble, my mission is completed." The man in blue didn't continue the topic and said, "I was ordered by the imperial court to kill this evil spirit. Now that the evil spirit has been suppressed, I have to return to the Central County. See you later." He saluted County Minister Chun with his fists and flew up into the sky. County Minister Chun walked out and asked, "Did he see through it?" "Who knows?" County Minister Chun smiled and said, "Some things are hard to be confused about." Hurried footsteps came from the back of the government office. The feminine man ran out and asked anxiously, "Where is he?" County Minister Chun looked at the man with the bruises on his face and said, "He left. The case hasn't been solved yet. How can he leave first?" The feminine man revealed an angry expression and said, "I've already found out that the evil spirit appeared in the Northern County because of a tea house called the Union Pavilion. I order the Northern County to arrest everyone involved in the Union Pavilion and wait for their punishment." County Minister Chun looked at him and asked, "What happened to the tea house?" The feminine man said coldly, "The tea house told a story. Is it a crime to tell a story? A normal story is naturally innocent, but that story created a peerless evil spirit, causing the county magistrate's family to be annihilated, causing so many innocent people to suffer. Have you ever thought about the purpose of the tea house telling this story? Who is behind it? What is their motive? Who is the story mocking? What are they trying to subvert, destroy, and insinuate?" The feminine man's face was gloomy as he said, "Those who do good suffer poverty and have a shorter life, while those who do evil enjoy riches and have a longer life. What kind of audacious person is this? How dare he speak such arrogant words? How dare he talk about politics and criticize the imperial court? If we don't kill him, we won't be able to establish our prestige." That fierce spirit is created by the world. Could it be that Dr. Feng wants to destroy the world? A calm voice came from the entrance of the county government. The effeminate man turned around and saw a white-haired old man walking in. The feminine man was startled and said in shock, "Censor Chi, why are you here?" The old man said calmly, "I am here on His Majesty's orders regarding the North County's ferocious spirits." Li Mu sat in the duty room and looked at Bai Yinshin and Bai Yinshin. He could already confirm that demons were easily addicted to the Buddhist light triggered by the Heart Sutra, just like how Li Mu was addicted to dual cultivation with Lu Hanyan. He had experimented with ordinary sutras on them. From the sisters' reactions, he concluded that the deciding factor that made them addicted was the Heart Sutra and not the Buddhist light. In his previous life, when he was seriously ill, his mother went to all kinds of temples for him. She even bought a pile of Buddhist classics. Not only did she recite the sutras every day, she even asked Li Mu to do it with her. Li Mu braced himself and read a small portion of those Buddhist sutras. After his mother died, he never read them again. In the past few months, Li Mu had tried countless times. Among all the sutras he remembered, he found that only the Heart Sutra could resonate with the world in this world. Up until now, he had not understood all the mysteries of the Heart Sutra. The white snake and the green snake sisters looked at Li Mu with longing in their eyes. Li Mu was unmoved. Except for Lu Hanyan, any woman, ghost, or demoness who was addicted to him would be troublesome. Bai Tingxin's lips moved, as if she finally could not help but say something to Li Mu. Constable Zhao walked in happily from outside and said, Li Mu, the imperial court is here. Hey, don't be in a hurry to pack your things. This time it's a good thing. Constable Zhao stopped Li Mu from running away and said, The imperial censor is here on the orders of Her Majesty. Her Majesty's first imperial edict is to exonerate the little girl. Not only that, she also asked the North County government to erect a statue of the county magistrate and his family. She asked them to kneel in front of the yamen and accept the curses of the people. It's a warning to the officials of the county. After Constable Zhao finished speaking, he said respectfully, Long live the Empress. Li Mu was concerned about something and asked, The imperial edict didn't mention me, right? Constable Zhao shook his head and said, No. Just as Li Mu heaved a sigh of relief, footsteps suddenly sounded outside the door. Then, 3 people walked in from outside. One was County Lieutenant Chun, the other was County Minister Shin, and the last person was an old man with white hair. Li Mu had never seen him before, but when he saw the old man, his gaze could not help but freeze. Li Mu did not want to stay a moment longer after using up a portion of his mana to fulfill Bai Tingxin's wish. After leaving the county, he flew on his sword and went straight to the county. In the duty room, Bai Tingxin waved her hand in front of Bai Yinxin and asked, Sister, what's wrong? Bai Yinxin stood up and said, Nothing. Let's go back. Bai Tingxin held her hand and walked out of the county office. She said, Cultivating in the mountain is so boring. Let's come out and play with Li Mu in a few days. The two walked out of the county office. Soon, the feminine man also walked out of the door and said, Back to Zhong County. A magic cultivator behind him said, If we go back like this, I'm afraid it'll be hard to explain to the assistant minister. The effeminate man pursed his lips and said, His Majesty sent the censor here. What can I do? The assistant minister can't blame us. It's his brother-in-law's fault for stirring up public resentment. Deep in a desolate mountain in the North County, a black-robed man knelt at the entrance of a cave filled with ghastly qi. After a long time, a fleeting voice came from the cave. What's the matter? The black-robed man buried his head deeper and said, Your Highness, I didn't do my job well. I didn't succeed in recruiting that evil spirit. The cave was silent for a while before a voice came out. That evil spirit wasn't part of the plan. It's better to have her, but it's okay to not have her. As long as the 18 ghost generals can be gathered. The black-robed man trembled and said, Something happened to the 18 ghost generals. The voice in the cave suddenly sank. Other than the green-faced ghost and Madame Chu, what else happened? The black-robed man's voice trembled. Red-haired ghost, big-head ghost, Rakshasa ghost, and long-tongued ghost were killed by a human cultivator. The cave was silent for a long time before a voice said, That means only 12 of my 18 ghost generals are left. Do you know why I planned for 5 years? The black-robed man knelt on the ground and quickly said, Your Highness, don't worry. I'll gather the 18 ghost generals as soon as possible. Please give me half a year. There's no time. A sigh came from the cave and suddenly asked, How long have you been with me? The black-robed man immediately said, 5 years. The voice in the cave said, 5 years? I really can't bear to. The black-robed man was stunned and his expression changed. He turned into a ball of black mist and fled without hesitation. However, the next moment, a terrifying suction force came from the cave and sucked the black mist in. In the depths of the cave, 2 balls of light flashed inside. With your soul power, it should be enough to gather the 18 ghost generals. Chapter 174. After returning to the prefecture capital, Li Mu finally had a few days of peace. All the constables who went to Yang County had half a month of vacation after returning. In this month, they spent most of their time outside. Li Mu finally had enough time to stay at home and spend time with Lu Hanyan and Wan Wan. However, while he was free, Lu Hanyan was busy. The Yunyan Pavilion was especially busy these days. The tea house was filled with customers from morning to night. In this half a month, the story of the evil spirit descending from Yang County, washing the county government with blood, killing corrupt officials, and killing evil officials had spread throughout the North County. The North County government did not deliberately hide this matter, so it was not difficult for the people to find out the inside story. It was said that the evil spirit was just an ordinary girl. Because she heard Do Yi's injustice in the Yunyan Pavilion tea house, she was wronged by the corrupt official of Yang County. Before she died, she imitated Do Yi and cursed at the sky, swearing that she would become a vengeful spirit after death. Her resentment and her vow moved the heavens and earth, causing them to pity her and turn her into a vengeful spirit. Taking revenge was simply too satisfying. After the news spread, countless people rushed to the Yunyan Pavilion, asking to hear Do Yi's injustice. Li Mu originally had some misgivings, but Constable Zhao personally went to the Yunyan Pavilion and passed on the orders of the county governor. Not only did the North County have to promote the story of Do Yi's injustice, but they also had to adapt it into an opera. It was said that the Empress was behind this. From this, Li Mu could see the determination of the Empress to clean up the officialdom. She wanted to use Do Yi's injustice and Su Xiaoyu's matter to intimidate the officials of the 36 counties in the Great Zhou. She wanted to make these officials respect the lives of the people at all times and reduce the number of wrongful cases. This was beneficial to gathering the people's hearts and gathering their willpower. As for the county magistrate of Yang County, he was set as a negative example. A stone statue of him was placed in front of the Yang County government. It would be cursed by the people and would be recorded in history forever. This action caused the imperial court's popularity in the Yang County and even the northern county to rise to unprecedented heights. Every day, the people who came to pay their respects to the state temple in the county city would line up several miles away from the entrance of the state temple. Some people would even wait outside the next night just to be the first to enter the next day. In recent days, the number of people in the state temple had exceeded that of any other Taoist temple. As for Li Mu, he also experienced the feeling of being famous. The North County officials obviously had to follow the emperor's orders and spread the news. However, the reason for this was actually a scandal in the northern county and even the imperial court. After all, this happened in the northern county. Strictly speaking, it was because the county governor and the county minister didn't do enough. If the county city had restrained the county magistrate earlier, this kind of injustice wouldn't have happened. Therefore, they could only find another way and push Li Mu out, creating the image of an upright minor official who was not afraid of power, dared to resist the darkness, and fought against the ugly forces. It was just the right time to shift the focus. It was Li Mu who said that Do Yi was wronged. That evil spirit was born because of Do Yi's injustice. Coincidentally, Li Mu was a constable in the county office and was someone from the imperial court. He could represent the county office and the imperial court. This way, as long as the imperial court handled this case well and didn't cause too much resentment, Li Mu's light would cover the darkness of the Yang County office. Furthermore, this case that was originally the fault of the northern county and a stain on the imperial court had become a good thing that was worth flaunting. It was also a way to gather people's hearts. Li Mu didn't want to be high profile, but when he walked on the streets, the people around him looked at him with admiration. He didn't need to take the initiative to guide them, and there was an endless stream of psychokinesis gathering on his body. He had nothing to say. This psychokinesis came from the trust of the people. If it could be maintained for a long time, it would be a very strong force. Even if it was a mortal with such strong psychokinesis, they could make demons retreat. Li Mu walked to the entrance of the county office. When the two constables saw him, they immediately said, "Greetings, Constable Li." After returning to the county office, County Magistrate Shin promoted Li Mu. Currently, he didn't have any constables under him and was directly responsible to County Magistrate Shin. Li Mu smiled at the two constables and walked into the county office. One of the constables looked at him and said with admiration, "When Constable Li first entered the county office, I knew that he was brave, but I didn't know that he was so brave. Not only did he scold the imperial court, he even dared to scold the heavens and earth." The other constables said enviously, "Constable Li is really a winner in life. He's only been here for 2 to 3 months and he's already been promoted to constable. He even has so many beauties by his side. I heard that the female shopkeeper of the Union Pavilion and the 2 daughters of the White Demon King are his women." Li Mu walked into the front hall. As expected, County Magistrate Shin was drinking. When he raised his head and saw Li Mu, he was slightly excited. He waved his hand and said, "Li Mu, you're here. Come and drink with me." "No, no." Li Mu waved his hand and said, "I'm actually here to receive my reward. If you didn't mention it, I would have forgotten." County Magistrate Shun put down the wine pot and said, "You killed 4 of Chu Jiang of Gojoseon's ghost generals. I've already reported to the county magistrate and allowed you to enter the Earth Room to choose 4 things. I guess the Imperial Court will also reward you, but I'm afraid you'll have to wait for a few days." Li Mu was already familiar with the Shen Room in the county office's treasury. However, this was his first time in the Earth Room. There were much fewer things here than in the Shen Room. On the shelf where the Fulu was placed, there were only a few pieces of Earth Fulu. Under normal circumstances, only Fortune Realm and See-Through Realm cultivators were able to write Earth-rank talismans. Earth-rank talismans were divided into 3 ranks, and the talismans here were all Earth-rank low-grade. County Magistrate Shin introduced them one by one. This is the Purple Cloud Thunder Talisman. A thunder technique is sealed in it. Can kill 4th realm demonic ghosts. It shouldn't be of much use to you. After all, you can kill ghost generals of the Vile Soul Realm without the help of the Fulu. After refining the soul energy of the 4 ghost generals, Li Mu's 3 spiritual souls were very condensed. He could advance to the Congregate Realm at any time. When that time comes, he would be able to release Purple Thunder with his own mana. Of course, he would not use this opportunity on the Purple Cloud Thunder Talisman. County Magistrate Shun continued, "This is the Sword Talisman. A sword technique is sealed in it. It has the power of a Creation Realm cultivator. Can also kill 4th realm cultivators. You don't have to think about it. This is the 5 Elements Escape Talisman. Activating this talisman will allow you to use the 5 Elements Escape technique for 2 hours. This is the Earth Low-Grade Divine Travel Talisman. Activating it with the Congregate Realm Cultivator will allow you to travel at a speed comparable to that of Dongshin cultivators. However, it can only last for 1 hour." County Magistrate Shin introduced them one by one. After careful consideration, Li Mu chose the Low-Grade Divine Travel Talisman. The Earth Low-Grade Fulu could unleash the power of a Creation Realm Cultivator and could kill 4th Realm Cultivators instantly. However, Li Mu could also suppress 4th Realm Cultivators with the help of Madame Chu. All the offensive Fulu were useless to him. However, the Earth Low-Grade Divine Travel Talisman was of great use to him. If he had this talisman with him that day, he would not have been chased by the 1st Ghost General for so long and had to seek help from the White Demon King to escape. After choosing the Fulu, Li Mu looked at the row of Dharma treasures. The value of an Earth low-grade Dharma treasure was higher than the Fulu and elixir pills of the same grade. After all, the latter 2 could only be used once. If the Dharma treasure was cherished, it could send away several owners. Therefore, the Dharma treasures placed in the Earth low-grade Dharma rooms were only mystic-level superior-grade Dharma treasures. Of course, a Dharma treasure of this grade was much better than Li Mu's Bai. Bai was only a mystic-level inferior-grade Dharma treasure. However, its significance to Li Mu could not be measured by its grade. Li Mu did not choose a weapon. Instead, he chose an auxiliary flying boat Dharma treasure. Although sword kinesis flight was elegant, it could not carry people. The flying boat speed was not slow. Could be big or small. It was a type of Dharma treasure that cultivators loved to use as a means of transportation. When Li Mu thought about how he could use it to take Lu Hanyan, Wan Wan, and Xiao Bai on a scenic tour in his spare time and sleep on the boat when he was tired, he did not hesitate to choose it. County Lieutenant Shun walked to the next row of wooden shelves and continued to introduce. These elixirs can be divided into 4 categories. The first category is to strengthen one's foundation and improve one's dharma power. The second category is usually used for healing. The third category is used in fights. After it explodes, it will be extraordinarily powerful. The last category is for special purposes such as the soul nurturing elixir and the demon transformation elixir. You will not be able to use them. Limu picked up a milky white porcelain bottle and asked, "What is the demon transformation elixir?" County Lieutenant Shun explained, "This elixir can dissolve the demon aura on demons. Cultivators will not be able to discover their demon identity unless they deliberately open their third eye. Some of the officials and nobles in Zhong province, who like demons, will let them consume this elixir to prevent them from being accidentally injured by cultivators." Li Mu put away the elixir and said, "I'll take this." With this elixir, the demon aura on Xiao Bai's body could be completely dissolved. She would not have to hide her aura and stay at home every day. She could happily go shopping and listen to music with Wan Wan. County Lieutenant Shin looked at him and said, "If you want it, I'm afraid one elixir is not enough." Chapter 175. That's enough? Only Xiao Bai could use this kind of elixir. Li Mu glanced at the many porcelain bottles on the shelf and asked, "Does the county government have any elixirs that can help ghosts condense their bodies?" County Magistrate Shin looked at him thoughtfully. After a while, he asked, "You even have ghosts in your house?" Li Mu said, "I'm just asking." County Magistrate Shin's eyes seemed to have a deeper meaning. He said, "Ghosts don't need elixirs to condense their bodies. Third realm evil spirits can condense their bodies by themselves. Ghost cultivators in the soul realm can condense their bodies no different from ordinary people. It's said that ghosts in the 9th realm can reverse life and death and reconstruct their bodies. However, I've only heard of it. I've never seen it." "Then forget it." Li Mu originally thought that if there really was such an elixir, he could save one for Suhi. Since there was no such elixir, he didn't want to waste this opportunity to choose. Fulu, Dharma treasure, and elixir, he chose one of each. Last chance, Li Mu chose high-quality spiritual jades. The Fulu and Dharma treasure were his, the demon transformation elixir was for Xiao Bai, and the spiritual jades were for Lu Hanyen and Wan Wan. Everyone had a share. County Magistrate Shin looked at the shelves and said, "Fortunately, you don't have to pay for the reward given by the imperial court. Otherwise, this earth pavilion would have been emptied by you." Carrying the heavy spiritual jades back home, Li Mu immediately realized that Zhang County magistrates had advised him to come to the county government for his sake. Compared to the county government was really rich. Not only could it satisfy his cultivation resources, but it could also support a large family. After tasting the benefits, Li Mu began to think about the remaining 12 ghost generals under his command. Li Mu hadn't used up all of the soul power from the 4 ghost generals. He still had some left and had successfully helped Lu Hanyen condense her first soul. After killing 2 more ghost generals, the 2 of them would be able to advance to the conglomerate realm. When their spiritual power reached the peak of the Jushen realm, they could begin to cultivate together. With the help of the pure yang and pure yin bodies, they could break through to the middle realm. Li Mu gave half of the spiritual jades to Lu Hanyen and said, "Leave the Yunyan Pavilion to Zhongshan. Cultivate well and try to reach the Jushen realm." Lu Hanyen held the spiritual jades in her hand as she cultivated. Li Mu walked to Xiao Bai's room and handed her the porcelain bottle. He said, "There is a demon transformation pill in here. After you eat it, the demon aura in your body will be dissolved and you won't be seen by other cultivators. You can go out and play with Wan Wan in the future." Li Mu originally wanted to wait for Xiao Bai to transform before teaching her the Buddhist scriptures. Later, he learned that the Heavenly Fox clan had their own unique cultivation methods. Their cultivation methods were enough for them to reach the 9th realm. They didn't need to cultivate these unorthodox methods. The 4 paths of Buddhism, Taoism, demon, and ghost could all be cultivated to the 9th level. As for the other paths of cultivation, they had long been eliminated by the cultivation world, either due to the lack of subsequent cultivation methods or their own flaws. Although the Fox Demon clan was also a demon, they didn't walk the demon path. A clan that was independent of the Buddhist, Taoist, demon, and ghost paths and had their own ninth realm inheritance was extremely extraordinary. Once a fox demon could reach the upper three realms, it would definitely cause a commotion in the cultivation world. Xiao Bai sat cross-legged on the bed and took the porcelain bottle. She said obediently, "Thank you, benefactor." Li Mu said, "Take it now. I'll protect you." The higher the grade of the pill, the stronger the spiritual energy it contained. Taking it would be dangerous and required someone to protect her. Xiao Bai swallowed the demon transformation pill and the aura in her body began to surge. Li Mu sat cross-legged behind her and placed his hand on her back. He used his own dermic powers to help her calm down the surging spiritual energy in her body. The spiritual energy in her body gradually calmed down and the demon aura also gradually faded until it finally disappeared. Li Mu couldn't detect any trace of demon aura from her body. Without using his heavenly eye, he couldn't see her true form. After transforming, Xiao Bai cultivated even more diligently. Li Mu knew the reason why she was cultivating so hard. The human cultivator who injured the rat demon's wife was in the transcendent realm. Only by cultivating the fourth tail would she have any hope of revenge. He left half of the remaining spiritual jade for her and stroked her head. He said, "Cultivation needs Zhang Yuqi. You don't have to work so hard." Xiao Bai rubbed her head against Li Mu's head and curled up in his arms. Before she transformed, she loved to lie in Li Mu's arms like this and let Li Mu gently stroke her fur. Li Mu was already used to it. Now, being snuggled up by such a delicate girl, Li Mu couldn't be the same as before. Xiao Bai also seemed to realize something. In the next moment, Li Mu felt his arms lighten and there was only a piece of clothing left. A small white head poked out from under the clothing. Xiao Bai whispered, "This way, Sister Lu won't quarrel with benefactor." Although the girl and the little fox were both her, Lu Hanyan clearly wouldn't be jealous of a fox. Xiao Bai's growth surprised and pained Li Mu. As usual, he gently stroked her fur. Xiao Bai closed her eyes and quietly nestled in his arms. Before long, Lu Hanyan walked in from outside. Seeing Xiao Bai in Li Mu's arms, she said in surprise, "Xiao Bai, why did you change back? Come, let me hug you." Xiao Bai obediently came out from Li Mu's arms and jumped into her arms. Lu Hanyan hugged her and lovingly stroked her head. Then she said to Li Mu, "Someone from the yamen just came and asked you to go to the county yamen." Li Mu thought that there was a case. When he arrived at the yamen, he went straight to the front hall and asked County Magistrate Shin, "Sir, what happened?" County Magistrate Shin burped and walked to the back hall. He said, "It's nothing. Someone wants to see you. Go and see for yourself." Li Mu walked to the back hall and saw a familiar figure. After being stunned for a moment, he strode forward and asked, "Why are you here?" As soon as he finished speaking, he looked around expectantly. Hanja shook his head and said, "Don't look, she's not here." Li Mu looked away and punched Hanja's shoulder. He asked, "Why did you go down the mountain?" Hanja glanced at him and said, "It's because of you." Li Mu was stunned. "Me?" Hanja looked at him and said, "I went down the mountain this time under the orders of the headmaster and the chief to see you." Li Mu was not convinced. He said, "Are you saying that the headmaster of the F-Lu school asked you to see me?" As far as Li Mu knew, the chief of the F-Lu school was a transcendent powerhouse, a true upper realm powerhouse. To Li Mu, the powerful and invincible Thousand Illusions Shangren was just a slightly stronger ant in front of a transcendent powerhouse. How could such an existence know about him? You don't have to doubt it. I was indeed ordered by the headmaster to come to the county yamen to see you. Hanja looked at him and said, "It's not just the headmaster. In all of Mount Baiyun, in the ancestral court of F-Lu school, there is no one who doesn't know your name. In the cultivation world, besides you, there is no second person who dares to point at the heavens and curse the earth." Li Mu glanced at him and said, "Enough nonsense. What business does the F-Lu school's headmaster have with me?" Hanja asked, "Do you want to become a disciple of the Lu school?" Li Mu shook his head and said, "I don't want to." Several months ago, in Yangqiu County, the chief of the 5th branch of the ancestral court of Lu school, Taoist Hyun Jinko, and the chief of the 5th branch of the Xuanzong, Taoist Miao Dun, both invited Li Mu once, but he refused. At that time, Li Mu wanted to be free. This time, although the reason for his refusal was different, the result was the same. Hanja didn't expect Li Mu's reaction to be so calm. He asked in surprise, "Why?" Li Mu said, "I'm doing well in the county yamen. I have no interest in joining any sect." Hanja looked at him and asked, "Don't you want to see her?" Li Mu was silent for a moment, then asked, "Is she doing well?" Hanja shook his head and said, "I don't know." After junior sister Li advanced to the divine power stage, she left the sect. Li Mu didn't expect Li Qing to advance to the divine power stage so quickly, nor did he expect her to leave the Lu school. Hanja sighed and said, "I've never seen anyone cultivate as hard as she does. Among the younger generation of disciples, her cultivation can be ranked in the top 5, but her effort in cultivation is undeniably number 1. Until now, I still don't know why she's working so hard in cultivation." "She didn't say where she went?" "No. The sect doesn't have many restrictions on the divine power stage disciples. Everyone has their own destiny. Junior sister Li is focused on the Tao. Perhaps she went to find an opportunity to advance." "Let's not talk about this." Hanja waved his hand and said, "Let's talk about you. I just heard from the constables that you've hooked up with a rich woman and 2 snake sisters." Chapter 176. Li Mu waved his hand and said, "Don't listen to their nonsense." Hanja said, "I think they are telling the truth. They don't seem to be lying." A young girl walked in from outside and looked at Li Mu curiously. She asked Hanja, "Senior brother Hanja, is he your friend who created the Taoist technique?" Hanja nodded and introduced her to Li Mu. "This is junior sister Qin, senior brother Qin's younger sister. She insisted on following me down the mountain." Speaking of senior brother Qin, Hanja couldn't help but feel sad. Li Mu patted his shoulder and said, "I'll go call Zhang Shan and Li Si. Let's go out and have a drink." Hanja smiled and asked, "They are also in the county capital?" Reuniting with old friends was something worth celebrating. Although Li Mu and Hanja didn't get along well, they had gone through a few life and death situations together and had formed a friendship. Zhang Shan was usually at the Yunyan Pavilion. They could go there to find him. Li Si was a bailiff of the county government, but he rarely came here. He spent all his time with Chen Miao Miao. The 3 of them arrived at the county minister's manor and asked the guard at the door to pass on the message. After a while, Chen Miao Miao walked out with Li Si. Hanja looked at Li Si and then at Chen Miao Miao. After a moment of shock, something seemed to have collapsed in the depths of his eyes. Chen Miao Miao sent Li Si to the door and said, "Go ahead, I'll wait for you at home." As the 4 of them walked towards the Union Pavilion, Hanja asked in disbelief, "That girl just now was—" Li Si said, "Her name is Miao Miao. She is my fiancée." Hanja was stunned for a while before he shook his head and said, "I really didn't expect you to find such a girl. With your ability, I thought you would. Li Si sighed. "I didn't think about it before. Maybe this is fate." Hanja let out a sigh. "It's only been a few months and all of you have families. I'm the only one who's still alone." Junior sister Qin, who had been following beside him, raised her head and glanced at him. Then, she lowered her head again and didn't say anything. Li Si thought for a moment and asked, "Do you want me to introduce you to a few?" Hanja said happily, "Sure." Li Si said, "Miao Miao still has a few cousins." Hanja's expression changed. He looked at Li Mu and said, "Li Mu, you have a lot of beautiful women around you. Why don't you introduce one to me? She doesn't need to be as beautiful as Lady Lu. Someone like junior sister Qin is enough." Junior sister Qin gritted her teeth and snorted. Although Li Mu had a lot of beautiful women around him, Lu Hanyan was his, Wan Wan was his, and Xiao Bai was also his. The only ones he could introduce to Hanja were Xiang Xiang and Rong Rong from Spring Wind Pavilion. However, Hanja would definitely not marry a prostitute. He shook his head and said, "I don't know a beautiful woman suitable for you." Hanja thought for a moment and said, "If you don't have a woman, a banshee will do. Do your two snakes have any cousins who can transform? I heard that snake demons are good at dancing. I like those who can sing and dance." Li Mu shook his head and said, "No." Hanja looked at him disappointedly and said, "You are still so stingy." Junior sister Qin snorted and stomped her feet. She walked forward alone. Hanja sighed and said, "You said that I'm not ugly and my cultivation is not bad. Why can't I find a dual cultivation partner?" Li Si patted his shoulder and said, "It doesn't matter if you can't find one now. You will have a chance in your next life." The few of them chose a restaurant beside the Yunyan Pavilion to have their meal. This restaurant was the property of the Su clan. The Su clan's property spread all over the county. Manager Su had taken care of them since Yunyan Pavilion opened. After Hanja sat down, he said to Li Mu seriously, "You should seriously consider what I just said. Becoming a disciple of Fulu School will be very beneficial to your future cultivation. In recent years, this is the only chance for the headmaster to personally ask." Li Mu smiled and said, "I have already thought it through. In order to condense his last soul, he needed to stand among the common people. Moreover, compared to the Green Lamp Ancient Temple and the mountain, Li Mu preferred to stay in the yamen." Hanja sighed and shook his head. "I knew I couldn't persuade you. The headmaster should have sent junior sister Li earlier." Li Mu raised his wine cup and changed the topic. "Let's not talk about this. Drink, drink." Hanja's alcohol tolerance was not high. This was something that Li Mu and the others already knew. After drinking a few cups, his chatterbox was completely opened. "Li Mu, oh Li Mu, I used to think you were the most cowardly. Now I know I was wrong." Pointing at the heavens and cursing the earth. "Who in the great Zhou's cultivation world is more daring than you? You don't know, but a senior brother from the third branch imitated you and cursed the heavens and the earth. In the end, he was struck by lightning and his cultivation was crippled. He almost couldn't be saved. Your name has already spread throughout the 7 branches. We all think that you are the bravest man in the North County. No, in the entire Great Zhou. The various races of the 10 continents and 3 islands all worshipped the heavens and the earth. Among them, cultivators worshipped the heavens and the earth the most. Tao techniques, supernatural powers, demon techniques, and ghost techniques all borrowed the power of the heavens and the earth. Whether it was demons, ghosts, spirits, or human cultivators, they all revered the heavens and the earth. When mortals encountered injustice, they would often curse the heavens and the earth for being heartless. However, not many cultivators dared to do so. After all, their power was bestowed by the heavens and the earth. If they disrespected the heavens and the earth, they would easily be punished by the heavens. Li Mu didn't think of this at the time. He thought that there shouldn't be many stupid cultivators who would imitate him. In a dilapidated temple outside the county city, a slovenly Taoist priest in a dirty Taoist robe formed a seal with one hand and pointed at the sky with the other. He shouted, "Earth, you can't tell good from bad. What is earth? Heaven, you rumble." A purplish-black bolt of lightning descended from the clouds. The Taoist priest's figure disappeared from the spot. The dilapidated temple collapsed with a loud bang, leaving behind only ruins and a huge scorched pit that was dozens of feet deep. In the open space outside the dilapidated temple, there was a flash of light. The Taoist priest's staggering figure appeared. Dark clouds gathered in the sky. Another bolt of lightning descended, striking the Taoist priest's head. The Taoist priest jumped up and down in the open space. He shouted, "I was wrong. I was wrong. Don't strike me. I won't dare to curse again." More than 10 bolts of lightning descended before the dark clouds in the sky gradually dissipated. The Taoist priest sat in a scorched pit. His face was full of shock. He muttered, "Taoist magic. It's really Taoist magic. It's a pity that I can't learn it. I have to be struck for nothing." He sighed. His face was full of envy. He said bitterly, "Why can't it be me? Damn it. How can it be so easy for others to create Taoist magic? When can I transcend? No, I have to ask for advice. Could it be that there's some technique in it?" Yuntai County, south of the North County. In a tea house in the county city, the rhythmic voice of a storyteller was heard. Before Doi died, she made 3 great wishes. Blood splattered everywhere, snow in June, and drought for 3 years. Heaven and earth felt wronged. Her 3 vows came true one by one. There were no empty seats in the tea house. If one looked carefully, there were not only ordinary people, but also the county governor of Yuntai County, the county minister, the county lieutenant, and the county magistrate. The storyteller had never seen such a scene before. His heart trembled. Cold sweat broke out on his forehead. However, he still had to control his emotions and tell the story honestly. After the story of Do-Yi's injustice, everyone in the tea house was in a heavy mood. The county governor of Yuntai County looked at the people behind him and said, "I hope you will take note of what happened in the North County and Yang County. Such things are not allowed to happen in Yuntai County." Yes. More than 10 county magistrates nodded solemnly. Before the evil spirit appeared in the North County, no one would have thought that such a thing would happen. The county magistrate's family was slaughtered. The county magistrate of Yang County was massacred. It was a wake-up call for all of them. If such an evil spirit appeared in their area because they didn't care about human lives, their political achievements would be secondary. What they were afraid of was that the evil spirit would kill them and their families would be wiped out. They would be blamed by the imperial court and their statues would be placed in front of the government office. They would be cursed by tens of thousands of people. A county magistrate sighed and said, "This story Do-Yi's injustice describes the corruption of some local officials and the fact that they were wrongfully imprisoned. It's a story, but it's a reflection of reality. You and I know about these things, but no one dares to say it. I didn't expect a small official in the North County to be so brave." Another county magistrate added, "I heard that he's also a cultivator. A cultivator actually dares to point at the heavens and scold the heavens and earth. I don't know if he's young and ignorant or just hot-blooded." Another old county magistrate sighed and said, "Emperor Wen used 50 years to create a peaceful era for the Great Zhou. The people's faith reached the peak of the founding of the country. In just a short decade, half of Emperor Wen's efforts were destroyed. Although Her Majesty wants to win back the people's hearts, there are many obstacles in the imperial court. This incident in the North County is enlightening. I hope it can awaken some people's conscience. Don't destroy the hundreds of years of foundation of the Great Zhou for the sake of the imperial court." The evil spirit in the North County seemed to be a matter of the North County, but the meaning behind it was extraordinary. Among them, there was the Empress' determination to clean up the government. There was also the competition between the various forces in the imperial court. Although the result was unknown, this incident was a turning point in the imperial court and would be recorded in the annals of history. Nanyang County, Yunzhong County. Hanyang County, Jiangyin County. Zhejiang County, Yushan County. The story of Do-Yi's injustice was passed down in the 36 counties of the Great Zhou. Perhaps some people had already forgotten the name of the small official in the Yang County, but they would not forget that in the North County, there was a hot-blooded small official who dared to face injustice and scold the heavens and earth. Zhong County. Great Zhou Imperial Palace. A young female official walked into the deep palace and placed a file on the table. She said softly, "Your Majesty, this is the file sent by the North County." Behind the table, a white and slender hand opened the file and said softly, "Li Mu." Chapter 177. In the deep palace there was no sound at all. One could hear a pin drop. A moment later, a dignified voice came from the curtain behind the table again. "What do you think?" The young female official stood with her hands down and said, "He's so courageous at such a young age. He can distinguish right from wrong. If he's nurtured, he can be a good official. It's a waste to let him stay in the North County." Behind the table, the slender hand put the file aside and picked up another memorial. You can make the arrangements. The young female official crossed her hands and bowed. Yes, Your Majesty. North County City, restaurant. When Li Mu picked up his wine cup, he sneezed a few times and rubbed his nose. When he looked across, he saw that Hanja was already lying on the table like a pile of mud. Zhang Shan and Li Si helped him out of the restaurant. Li Mu said to junior sister Qin, "I'll leave him to you." Junior sister Qin nodded and asked Li Mu, "Are you really not going to Fulu school?" "I'm not going." Li Mu smiled and said, "Help me thank the sect master for his good intentions." "All right then." Junior sister Qin carried Hanja on her back and said, "We're leaving." Li Mu watched the two of them leave and suddenly felt a little melancholic. Li Si asked, "What's wrong? Do you miss your boss?" Li Mu did not answer. Li Si patted his shoulder and said, "The more you can't get someone, the harder it is to let go. Let me give you a piece of advice. Don't always think about the past. Cherish the present." Seeing Hanja, Li Mu could not help but think of Li Qing. However, it was not like what Li Si had said. In order to prove that he cherished the present, Li Mu personally cooked soup for 4 hours and sent it to Lu Hanyan, who was busy in the Yunyan pavilion. Lu Hanyan was reviewing the manuscript. Without raising her head, she said, "Put it aside first. I'll drink it later. It'll be cold soon." Li Mu picked up the spoon and brought it to her mouth, saying, "Open your mouth. I'll feed you." Lu Hanyan opened her mouth and drank a mouthful of soup. Suddenly, she looked at Li Mu and asked, "Why are you suddenly so nice to me? Did you do something wrong?" Li Mu felt inexplicably guilty. Then he shook his head and said, "What guilt could I have? I was kind enough to feed you, but you actually doubted me. You can drink the rest yourself." After deceiving Lu Hanyan, Li Mu returned home and prepared to go into seclusion for a few days to fuse his 3 souls into one and completely form his primordial spirit. Although the 3 souls and the primordial spirit were both soul bodies, they were fundamentally different. Before forming the immortal soul, if one's physical body died, he could only become a ghostly cultivator and could not be called a human. Even if one's cultivation reached a high level in the future and reconstructed his body, it would still be fundamentally different from a real mortal body. When ghosts possessed the bodies of living people, it was called possession. When the primordial spirit devoured the souls of others, it could borrow their bodies to be reborn. For cultivators who formed the primordial spirit, as long as their primordial spirit was not destroyed, they were not really dead. Li Mu used a few days to finally fuse his 3 souls into one and form his primordial spirit, stepping into the assembled spirit realm. After that, the cultivation would not be so complicated. Step by step, when the accumulation of mana was enough, he could break through to the middle 3 realms. It was just that this process would be very long. Li Qing's rapid progress was because she had more than 10 years of accumulation before she reached the assembled spirit realm. Under normal circumstances, with Li Mu's cultivation speed, it would take several years to reach the peak of the assembled spirit realm from the early stage. Other than yin and yang dual cultivation, the fastest way to increase the speed of cultivation was to use spiritual jades. Li Mu prepared to go to the county office to see if there were any suitable tasks that he could use to exchange for spiritual jades. At the entrance of the county office, Li Mu met a beggar. After taking a closer look, he found that the beggar was somewhat familiar. Li Mu was stunned for a moment and asked, "Senior, what are you doing here?" The slovenly Taoist priest brushed the messy hair on his forehead and said in surprise, "Why is it you again?" He looked at Li Mu and clicked his tongue. "The first time this old man saw you, you were just an ordinary person. The second time I saw you, you were about to condense your soul. It's only been 2 months. And the third time I saw you, you've already condensed your soul. Your path of cultivation is not small at all." "It's nothing," Li Mu said politely and asked, "Senior, is there anything I can help you with?" "You came at the right time." The Taoist priest pointed inside the county office and said, "There is a person called Li Mu. Is he in your county office? Call him out. I have something to ask him." Li Mu was stunned for a moment and said, I am. The Taoist priest stared at him and asked, You are Li Mu, the guy who pointed at the sky and cursed the earth but was not struck by lightning? Li Mu nodded and said, That's me. Come, come, come. The Taoist priest pulled Li Mu to the steps of the side door and sat down. He said expectantly, Tell me, how did you create that Taoist technique of yours? Do you have any experience to impart to me? Li Mu was pulled to sit on the steps. He shook his head and said, I don't have any experience. I just told a story. The Taoist priest scratched his head and said in annoyance, Damn it, you can create Taoist techniques by telling a story. I have tried for 20 years and didn't even get a fart. This old bastard. In the end, he did not dare to curse the heavens. He covered his mouth and muttered a few words. He sighed and said, There is no justice. No justice? Li Mu was puzzled and asked, Senior, do you want to create your own Taoist technique? The Taoist priest glanced at him and said angrily, If you don't create your own Taoist technique, how can you transcend? Li Mu used to guess that the Taoist priest's cultivation should be above the creation realm. Now, he was almost certain that he was a strong person in Dongxian, and not an ordinary Dongxian. It was very likely that he was a cultivator at the peak of Dongxian like the Thousand Illusions Venerable. From Dongxian to transcendence, it was the transformation from the middle three realms to the upper three realms. Ordinary guidance cultivation could not cross this gap. Only by creating one's own Taoist technique, gaining the recognition of heaven and earth, and being tempered by the power of heaven and earth, could one break through the barrier of Dongxian to transcendence. This was the reason why Miss Xiaoyu's cultivation was at the fifth realm when she had just died. Although this Taoist technique was created by Li Mu, it was not comprehended by Li Mu himself. Li Mu was only borrowing Taoist techniques like the 9 syllables. Otherwise, his current cultivation would be far beyond the spirit condensation realm. If one day he could cultivate to Dongxian, he would also need to comprehend his own Taoist technique before he could go further and step into the upper 3 realms of cultivation. Li Mu cupped his hands at the Taoist priest and said, Senior, I hope you can comprehend your Taoist technique and transcend as soon as possible. The old man sighed and said, There's no point in staying in the North County. Kid, I'm leaving. We'll meet again if fate wills it. As soon as the old man finished speaking, his body gradually faded in Li Mu's eyes and finally disappeared completely. Li Mu looked at the place where the old man was sitting with a face full of envy. The lower 3 realms of cultivation was only the most basic stage. With his cultivation at the 3rd realm, he could only pray for sunshine and rain in a small area, take things in the air and draw some fulu. For example, walking on water and sitting on fire, controlling the wind and spitting out flames, chi restriction, and other techniques could only be learned after reaching the transcendent realm. In order to shorten the time needed to advance to the transcendent realm, Li Mu had to perform more meritorious deeds for the Yamen in order to obtain enough spiritual jades. Li Mu walked into the front hall and only saw Constable Zhao. He looked around and asked, Where's Lord Shen? Constable Zhao said, He's drunk and resting in the back hall. Why are you looking for Lord Shen? Li Mu said, Nothing much. I just wanted to ask if the Yamen has any errands for the next few days. Li Mu pursed his lips and said, I'm just a constable. I don't want to get involved in these things. In life, there are too many things that are beyond one's control. Constable Zhao shook his head and said, Whether you are willing or not, after this incident, in their eyes, you will be Her Majesty's man. Chapter 178. Li Mu did not belong to the new party or the old party, nor did he belong to the Empress. If one had to say who he was, he should be one of Lu Hanyan's men. He was only used by the new party to achieve some political goals for the Empress. The conflict between the new party and the old party was about the ownership of the imperial power. The conflict was mainly in the Middle County, which was thousands of miles away from the North County. No matter how far the old party's influence stretched, it could not reach here. He was not worried about being involved in the conflict thousands of miles away. He was just curious. The Great Zhou was not the Great Tang, nor was it the Zhou dynasty. The Shao royal family had been passed down for so long. How could the imperial power suddenly be controlled by a woman with a different surname? This matter was not described in detail in the history books. It was only mentioned in a few sentences. As for the gossip about the empress, no one knew if it was deliberately spread by the old party, but the people had always been talking about it. For example, when she was still the crown princess, she was not liked by the crown prince. When the previous emperor died and the crown prince ascended to the throne, she was still a virgin. Another example was that not long after the crown prince ascended to the throne, she used despicable means to murder the crown prince. She deceived everyone and obtained the approval of the ancestral temple. She obtained the emperor's qi and transcended. She intimidated the Shao royal family and seized the imperial power from them. In recent years, there had been a lot of criticism about a woman becoming the empress. However, there was one fact that could not be denied. That was, the ruler of the most powerful country in the ancestral land was a young woman. The empress of the Great Zhou ascended to the throne at the age of 25. It had only been 3 years since then. She was only 9 years older than Li Mu, but she was already the most powerful woman on the continent. At the same time, she was also a powerhouse in the 7th realm. Li Mu was still young after all. If the slovenly Taoist priest thought of this, he would probably have a mental breakdown. He no longer paid attention to these things that had nothing to do with him. He said to Constable Zhao, "Lord Shen is awake. Please help me ask for leave. I want to go back to Yangqiu County." Constable Zhao waved his hand and said, "I will tell Lord Shen. Be careful. In the past 2 days, 3 Jushen cultivators died mysteriously. It's not very peaceful outside." The Union Pavilion had 4 shops in Yangqiu County, but only 2 in the county capital. Now that the shops in the prefectural capital were on the right track, Lu Hanyan wanted to go back to the county to take a look. Li Mu offered to accompany her. While Lu Hanyan was inspecting the store, he could go to Clearwater Bay to see Su He. The 3 humans and 1 demon returned to Yangqiu County City from the county city. The flying boat that Li Mu had exchanged from the Earth Pavilion last time was finally of use. Although Lu Hanyan and Wan Wan had been cultivating for a few months, this was their first time in the sky. They hugged Li Mu's arm tightly before they dared to look down from above. The speed of the flying boat was extremely fast. The journey that would have taken more than half a day only took 4 hours this time. Lu Hanyan went to the store to check the accounts while Wan Wan and Xiao Bai accompanied her. Li Mu left the county town and headed towards Clearwater Bay. Just as he walked into Su He's illusion, Li Mu sensed 2 streams of Yin Qi. 2 female ghosts, one big and one small, were sitting cross-legged outside the wooden house, cultivating. Compared to the last time Li Mu saw them, their auras had improved significantly. They were probably not far from the 3rd realm. "Young master, you're here." Sensing Li Mu's aura, the older female ghost immediately woke up from her cultivation. When she saw Li Mu, she stood up abruptly and exclaimed in surprise. Li Mu still did not sense Su He's aura. He asked, "She hasn't come out of seclusion yet?" The female ghost said, "Sister Su came out once and taught us some cultivation methods. Then she went into seclusion again. She said that she would need a few more months to come out of seclusion completely." Su He's seclusion this time was longer than expected. The 1,000 illusions venerable master's cultivation was too high. Even a fragment of his soul contained immense soul power. Su He was already close to the peak of the 4th realm. When she came out of seclusion after refining the 1,000 illusions venerable master's soul power, she would probably be a 5th realm ghost. The first ghost general under Chu Jiang of Gojoseon and Miss Xiaoyu, who had enjoyed the benefits of creating new Dao techniques, were in this realm. Li Mu was a little disappointed that he did not see Su He. However, there was nothing he could do. He walked to the edge of the lake and stared at the dark green water in a daze. He did not forget that there was still a huge threat to Su He at the bottom of the lake. Once the female corpse came out of the lake, she would definitely devour Su He and complete herself. Similarly, If Suhi could refine the intelligence born from the corpse and obtain a body to live in, her strength would also double. The current Li Mu was much stronger than before. He dove into the water again. The altar at the bottom of the lake appeared before his eyes. After digesting the 1,000 illusions' venerable master's memories, the mysterious runes on the altar no longer held any secrets. This was an exquisite corpse-nurturing array formation. It used this water vein to seal the corpse in the altar here. The altar had obviously been used once before. After Suhi died, his body accidentally fell into it, and the spell formation was activated once more. Over the past 20 years, the corpses in the spell formation had already gained sentience and possessed the Tao of the 4th stage. As if sensing Li Mu's gaze, the female corpse lying quietly on the altar opened her eyes again. At the same time, Li Mu felt a strong suction force erupting from the altar. It seemed to want to suck his soul over. However, the current Li Mu was no longer the rookie who had only condensed 1 spirit and 2 spirits. His 6 spirits had been completely refined, and his 3 spirits had become primordial spirits. This suction force couldn't shake them in the slightest. The female corpse opened her eyes and met Li Mu's gaze. Both man and corpse were very calm. Li Mu couldn't enter. She couldn't come out either. Unless this water vein was cut off and the bay of clear water dried up, the altar wouldn't have any spiritual power to pour in. That would be the time for the female corpse to come out. With the experience of the 1,000 illusions' venerable master, Li Mu could easily see that the upper limit of a corpse trapped in this array formation was the 5th realm. When she was nourished by spiritual power and evolved into the 5th realm flying stiff, she would be able to come out of the altar without the bay of clear water drying up. Based on the aura on the female corpse and the speed at which the altar gathered chi, it would take her about 10 years to reach the 5th realm. And within half a year, Suhi would be able to reach the 5th realm. At that time, the altar's array formation would no longer be able to trap her, and she would be able to leave at any time. The female corpse underwater was no longer a threat to Suhi. After coming out of the water, Li Mu dried his clothes with spiritual power. After giving the 2 female ghosts some pointers on their cultivation, he left the Bay of Clearwater. Although the 1,000 illusions' venerable master was Li Mu's disaster, he was also his good fortune. He almost caused Li Mu to lose his second life. But it was also because of him that Li Mu had the experience and knowledge of Dongxian cultivators when he was only in the soul-refining realm. In his mind, other than the evil arts, he also knew a lot about Buddhism, Taoism, demons, and ghosts. It was easy for him to guide the 2 resentful spirits in their cultivation. After leaving the Bay of Clearwater, Li Mu didn't return to the county. Instead, he went to the Jinshan temple. He sent a little monk to pass the message. After a while, Xuandu walked out and said happily, "Benefactor Li has finally thought it through and wants to convert to Buddhism." Li Mu said, "I'm here to see Miss Xiaoyu." Xuandu said regretfully, "Miss Xiaoyu is doing well in the temple. It's just that the killing intent in her body is too strong. She still needs some time to dispel it." He brought Li Mu to the front of the temple. Chapter 179. Li Mu had seen the 2 horns on the head of the woman in the coffin last time, but he did not think that she was a dragon. This kind of legendary race was too far away from them. It was not an exaggeration to say that the dragon race of the 4 seas was the strongest race in the 10 continents and 3 islands. When dragons were just born, they had the strength of a human of the 4th level. They could ride the clouds and summon the rain. Although they were not as strong as humans because of their small numbers and difficulty in reproduction, they were still the overlords of the sea. The White Demon King's wife was actually a dragon. Xuandu walked to the bottom of the stone platform and looked at the ice coffin. He said, "This coffin is quite mysterious. It's like there are 2 worlds inside and outside the coffin." The White Demon King nodded and said, "Grandmaster is wise. Inside this coffin is a world created by a supreme cultivator. It is completely isolated from the outside world. If it wasn't for this, my wife's soul would have already dissipated." Xuandu shook his head and said, But this way, the mana of outsiders cannot enter the coffin. He leapt onto the stone platform and said, "Let me try." He pressed one hand on the coffin and his palm emitted a golden light. However, it was blocked by the coffin and could not enter the coffin at all. After a while, Xuandu retracted his palm and shook his head lightly. Even though the White Demon King was already mentally prepared, he still could not help but reveal a look of disappointment. Li Mu walked onto the stone platform and said to Xuandu, "Master Xuandu, please lend me your mana." This was not the first time the two of them worked together like this. Xuandu pressed one hand on Li Mu's shoulder, and a steady stream of mana flowed into Li Mu's body. His peak 4th level mana was hundreds and thousands of times stronger than Li Mu's. Li Mu silently chanted the Heart Sutra and pressed his hand on the ice coffin. The Buddhist light triggered by the Heart Sutra was still blocked by the ice coffin. Li Mu focused and began to shrink the range of the golden light. The golden light on his entire palm gradually shrunk to the size of a thumb. Below the stone platform, the green bull demon's eyes suddenly widened. The golden light, which had been completely excluded from the coffin lid, actually went in a little. Although it wasn't even half an inch, it was still a huge breakthrough. The White Demon King's breathing slowed down as a strong sense of hope appeared in his eyes. Even an eminent monk of the 6th realm, the Freedom Realm, would not be able to penetrate the light of Buddha through the coffin lid. Yet Li Mu, who was at the 3rd realm, did it. Perhaps he could really create a miracle. Li Mu focused his mind and focused all his magic power on a single point. In the end, he could only make the golden light penetrate an inch into the coffin lid, not even half the distance. His forehead was full of sweat, and his clothes had long been soaked. Finally, at a certain point, he reached his limit. His body swayed and he almost fell. The White Demon King immediately supported him and channeled a strand of magic power into his body. He asked, "Little brother, are you all right?" "I'm fine." Li Mu looked at the ice coffin and said, "If I want to penetrate this ice coffin, I'm afraid I'll need the help of at least an eminent monk of the Dharma phase realm." The White Demon King's face was filled with excitement. He said, "I'll go to the Heart sect immediately. No matter what price I have to pay, I have to invite an eminent monk here." "Amitba!" Xuandu suddenly chanted and said, "Demon King and Benefactor Li, please wait for me for a moment. I'll be back soon." With that, he jumped off the platform and walked outside. Li Mu leaned against the cave wall to rest. Suddenly, he felt a strong wave of magic power coming from outside the cave. He and the White Demon King rushed outside the cave and saw Xuandu sitting cross-legged on the empty ground outside the cave. His hand seals kept changing, and a strong power of heaven and earth surrounded him. The White Demon King said in shock, "Master Xuandu is about to break through." As soon as he said that, Xuandu's body suddenly shone with golden light. A wheel of light appeared behind him. The light was so blinding that one could not look directly at it. Not long after, a golden shadow suddenly appeared behind the wheel of light. The shadow was dozens of feet tall. It was a monk sitting cross-legged. One could vaguely see Xuandu's appearance. The White Demon King said in shock, "Dharma phase." The huge golden shadow quickly solidified. Then, it suddenly shrank and entered Xuandu's body. Xuandu opened his eyes. 2 blinding golden lights shot out from his eyes and gradually dissipated. He slowly stood up and said to Li Mu, "It's done now." The White Demon King cupped his hands at Xuandu and said, "Congratulations to Master Xuandu for reaching the Dharma phase realm." A moment later, on the ice cave's platform, Xuandu placed his right hand on Li Mu's shoulder again. A Buddhist dharmic power that was many times purer than before surged into Li Mu's body from his palm. The golden light in Li Mu's hand began to slowly spread into the ice coffin. 1 inch, 2 inches, 3 inches. At a certain moment, Li Mu felt the pressure on the ice coffin decrease greatly. The golden light finally broke through the ice coffin and shone on the woman in the coffin. After a moment, the woman's eyelashes trembled as if she was about to open her eyes. But in the end, she did not. Li Mu's body was exhausted. He could only stop temporarily and rest against the ice coffin. Xuandu said. She doesn't have much soul power left. Although Benefactor Li can stabilize her essence soul and prevent it from dissipating, he still needs a huge amount of soul power to wake her up. The White Demon King looked at the woman in the coffin with a thoughtful expression. Amitba. Xuandu chanted a Buddhist proclamation and said, I know that the Demon King is kind to save your wife, but you must not fall into the evil path. The White Demon Monarch sighed and said, Don't worry, Grandmaster. I have never let down the heavens, the earth, and my heart. Even if I were to sacrifice my soul, I would never do anything against the evil path. The simplest and fastest way to obtain a large amount of soul power was to create a zombie disaster in Zhou County like Venerable Thousand Illusions and secretly harvest the soul power of more than 1,000 people. From the White Demon King's education to Bai Yinxin and her sister, he was probably not such a demon. But this way, he would not be able to collect so much soul power unless he sacrificed himself in exchange for his wife's life. Unless there was a way for him to collect enough soul power without committing heinous acts. An idea flashed through Li Mu's mind, and he suddenly said, I have a way to let the Demon King obtain a large amount of soul power. The White Demon King immediately looked at him and asked, What way? Li Mu smiled and said, Chu Jiang of Gojoseon has 12 ghost generals under him. They commit all kinds of evil in the North County. Killing them and taking their souls can not only eliminate evil for the people but also obtain soul power. 12 ghost generals? Xuandu said in surprise. Why did I hear that Chu Jiang of Gojoseon has 18 ghost generals under him? Li Mu explained. Because of some reasons, there are only 12 left. Xuandu shook his head and said, I'm afraid the soul power of the 12 ghost generals is not enough. What if there's Chu Jiang of Gojoseon? Li Mu continued. Chu Jiang of Gojoseon is the biggest threat in the North County. The county government has wanted to get rid of him for a long time. If the Demon King wants to get rid of him, the county government will definitely support him. No matter how strong Chu Jiang of Gojoseon is, can he defeat the Demon King and the county government working together? Xuandu thought about it and said, This is a perfect plan. Chu Jiang of Gojoseon is a big threat in the North County. If the Demon King and the county government plan to work together to kill him, I will not sit by and watch. The White Demon King thought for a moment and cupped his fists at Li Mu. He said, I'll have to ask you to contact the county government. Li Mu nodded and said, Of course. The county government wanted to kill Chu Jiang of Gojoseon more than the White Demon King. If there was such a good thing, County Magistrate Shin would probably wake up laughing in his dreams. How could he not agree? No matter how strong Chu Jiang of Gojoseon was, he was only at the 5th realm. The White Demon King, Xuandu, and County Magistrate Chun were all at the 5th realm. When the time came, the county governor would definitely take action. This way, Chu Jiang of Gojoseon would not be able to protect himself. How could he care about Li Mu killing his ghost generals? The White Demon King looked at Li Mu and said gratefully, Brother Li, you have helped me so much. I really don't know how to thank you. Li Mu waved his hand and said, If the Demon King can help the county government to get rid of Chu Jiang of Gojoseon and return peace to the people of the North County, then you should thank me. The White Demon King was silent for a moment and suddenly said, I have an idea. Li Mu said, Please speak, Demon King. The White Demon King looked at Li Mu and then at Xuandu and said, I would like to become brothers with the two of you. What do you think? Li Mu was shocked when he heard this. He did not expect the White Demon King to make such a request. He was a 5th realm Demon King, one of the strongest in the North County. To be able to sit on the same level as the county governor and become brothers with a mere constable at the 3rd realm, it could be considered condescending. Before Li Mu could react, Xuandu laughed and said, The Demon King is very emotional. I admire you. To be able to be brothers with the Demon King is a great joy in life. The White Demon King also laughed. Finally, he looked at Li Mu and asked, Brother Li, what do you mean? Li Mu cupped his fists and bowed, saying, Li Mu greets my two brothers. Although the White Demon King was a demon, he had a benevolent heart and was very emotional. Li Mu admired him. Although Xuandu was sometimes violent and always wanted Li Mu to become a monk, he was upright and plain-spoken. When it was time to be merciful, he would be merciful. When it was time to be violent, he would be violent. Li Mu admired his character very much. More importantly, both of them were Fifth Realm experts. Li Mu had just provoked Chu Jiang of Gojoseon and was now embroiled in the battle of the imperial court. He was just a constable with no strength or background. He could only carefully survive in the cracks. Now it was different. At least in the North County he had two reliable backers. The next time he saw Bai Yinxin and her sister, he would be a generation older. Would they dare to be impudent in front of him? Among the two humans and one demon, the White Demon King was the oldest, Xuandu was the second, and Li Mu was the youngest. He could enjoy the protection of his two brothers without any qualms. The White Demon King suddenly looked behind him and said, "Don't hide. Come out." Two figures walked out of the cave with their heads lowered. They were Bai Yinxin and her sister. Bai Tingxin looked at Li Mu and Xuandu and asked in confusion, "Father, why did you bring him and this monk here? What's here?" "Don't be rude." The White Demon King looked at them and said, "This is your uncle Xuandu and this is your uncle Li Mu. When you see them in the future, be more polite." The two sisters' beautiful eyes suddenly widened. Bai Tingxin looked at Li Mu and said in disbelief, "Uncle?" Li Mu patted her head and said with a smile, "Good niece." Chapter 180. The White Snake and Green Snake sisters found it hard to accept the sudden appearance of an uncle, especially Li Mu's increase in seniority. However, the White Demon King was usually very strict with them, so they didn't dare to show anything in front of their father. Bai Yinxin looked at the ice coffin on the stone platform and asked doubtfully, "Father, who is she? Why is she here?" The White Demon King looked at the woman in the ice coffin with gentle eyes and said, "She is your mother." "Mother?" The two sisters were shocked at the same time. The White Demon King said, "Since you found this place, I won't hide it from you." Li Mu and Xuandu left the ice cave of their own accord, leaving the space for the family. Xuandu walked out of the cave and suddenly said, "Third Brother's Sutra is very mysterious. I have never seen it before. There are many sutras in the heart, nirvana, suffering, and speech Buddhist sections. If you have the heart to create a sect, there will be a fifth Buddhist sect in the ancestral state." Xuandu's high evaluation of the Heart Sutra exceeded Li Mu's expectations. In the ancestral state, there were 4 Buddhist sects: heart, nirvana, suffering, and speech. The teachings of these 4 sects were different and their cultivation methods were also very different. However, the fundamental difference was that the 4 sects followed different scriptures. The Heart sect followed the Meditative Heart Sutra, the Nirvana sect followed the Nirvana Sutra, while the Ku sect and the Yen sect followed the Abstinence Sutra and the Mavarakana Sutra, respectively. These 4 scriptures were all top-level scriptures. The ancestors of the 4 sects used them as the foundation to create the 4 Buddhist sections. In Xuandu's eyes, the Heart Sutra was so mysterious that it was enough to create a sect. Li Mu smiled embarrassedly and said, "I don't have the heart to create a sect. I just want to be a constable and do my job well." Xian Du had a look of pity on his face. Although Li Mu's cultivation level was not high, he was able to create such a powerful scripture. If he focused on Buddhism, there was a high chance that he would become a patriarch of a sect. Many years later, there would be a 5th Buddhist sect. Not only that, but he was also able to resonate with the heavens and earth with his words before reaching the age of 20. This was unprecedented in the Taoist sections. Xuandu was meditating not far away, stabilizing the realm he had just broken through. Li Mu had just forcefully sent Jin Guang into the ice coffin, so he was somewhat exhausted. He leaned against a tree to rest. After an unknown period of time, he felt an itch on his face. He opened his eyes and saw Bai Tingxin sweeping a green foxtail on his face. Li Mu's face darkened and he said coldly, "Impudent!" Bai Ting's heart skipped a beat. He curled his lips and said, "That's just my father's idea." She had seen Bai Tingxin once, but not Bai Yinxin. She asked doubtfully, "They?" Li Mu looked at Lu Hanyan and said to the Bai sisters, "This is your aunt from now on." Bai Yinxin opened her mouth but did not call out in the end. Bai Tingxin, on the other hand, smiled and said, "Hello, aunt." Lu Hanyan looked confused. She could only say to Li Mu, "Come up with me." After a while, Wan Wan and Xiao Bai sat on the first floor and ate pastries. Bai Tingxin picked up a piece of mung bean cake and put it into her mouth. She glanced at Xiao Bai from the corner of her eyes and whispered in Bai Yinxin's ear, "That girl is so beautiful. Even I like her." Bai Yinxin looked to the side and said, "Of course a fox demon is beautiful." "Ah, she's a demon too." Bai Tingxin looked surprised and said, "But she doesn't have any demonic aura." Bai Yinxin said, "It's your fault for not cultivating properly in the past. If you've condensed your Yao core now, why can't you tell?" Bai Tingxin thought for a while and said with a sudden realization, "So he already has a beautiful fox demon at home. No wonder we couldn't charm him in the past." Bai Yinxin looked at her and reminded, "Don't blame me for not reminding you. If you're still as impudent as before, father won't let you out." Okay, I know." Bai Tingxin sighed helplessly and said, "He's not much older than us. Why should I call him uncle? I'm really unwilling." In the room on the second floor, Lu Hanyan looked at Li Mu and asked, "Where did your two nieces come from?" Therefore, Li Mu told her about the White Demon King and Xuandu becoming sworn brothers. He asked again, "Heaven and earth can bear witness to my feelings for you. Don't tell me you're jealous of your nieces?" Lu Hanyan rolled her eyes at him and asked, "Do you think I'm a jealous woman?" In fact, she was really jealous just now. After all, these two women were younger and prettier than the other. Although their figures were not as voluptuous as hers, their slender waists were envied by all women. Jealousy was jealousy, but she was unwilling to admit it when Li Mu said it out loud. Thinking about the White Demon King, she was touched and said, "The White Demon King is really devoted to his wife. You should learn from him." Li Mu said, "I'm also devoted to you." Lu Hanyan snorted and said, "What about Constable Li? You're still carrying the sword she gave you. Are you still thinking about her?" Chapter 181. Li Mu was speechless when Bai Yijian was implicated for no reason. Although Lu Hanyan would always ask some strange questions, she was generally reasonable and would not harp on a question. Li Si once said that there might be women who did not eat, but there were definitely no women who did not get jealous. Their jealousy meant that they cared. It was not necessarily a bad thing to be jealous occasionally. They stayed in Yangqiu County for a night. At noon the next day, Li Mu brought them back to the county town. After sending them home, Li Mu immediately went to the yamen. He still had an important task to take care of. Whether or not the county yamen could work with the White Demon King to eliminate Chu Jiang of Gojoseon depended on the attitude of the higher-ups. Arrestor Zhao poked his head out of the duty room and said, "Li Mu is back." Li Mu walked forward and asked, "Is Lord Shin here?" Arrestor Zhao thought for a while and said, "If it is not something important, it is best not to look for Lord Shin." Li Mu was surprised and asked, "Why?" Arrestor Zhao sighed and said, "Today is the death anniversary of Lord Shin's parents, wife, and son. 4 years ago today, Chu Jiang of Gojoseon killed Lord Shin's entire family. Every year on this day, Lord Shin would lock himself in his room and not see anyone." Li Mu thought for a while and said, "If that is the case, then it is even more necessary for me to see him." He came to a room at the back of the yamen and knocked on the door. After a long time, a voice came from the room. "I am on leave today. If there is nothing important, do not disturb me." Li Mu stood at the door and said, "If it is not convenient for you today, Li Mu will come again tomorrow. However, this may be the best chance to eliminate Chu Jiang of Gojoseon. If we delay for too long, I do not know if there will be any changes." Crash! As soon as Li Mu finished speaking, he was about to turn around and leave when he heard the sound of tables and chairs being overturned and porcelain breaking. The door was suddenly opened. Commandant Shin grabbed his shoulder and said, "Come in and talk." The room was extremely messy and reeked of alcohol. Li Mu found a chair and sat down. He said, "The White Demon King has already agreed to help the county Yamen eliminate Chu Jiang of Gojoseon. Master Xuandu, who has just advanced to the 5th realm, has also agreed to help." "Yes." Li Mu nodded and said, "But the White Demon King has a condition." Commandant Shen asked, "What conditions?" Li Mu said, "He wants the soul energy of Chu Jiang of Gojoseon and his ghost generals." Commandant Shen waved his hand and said, "I can agree to this on behalf of the County Yamen." The County Yamen had wanted to eliminate Chu Jiang of Gojoseon for a long time. However, they could not find where Chu Jiang of Gojoseon was hiding. Among the 18 ghost generals, only the first ghost general had seen Chu Jiang of Gojoseon. He was also the only one who could directly come into contact with Chu Jiang of Gojoseon. Secondly, it was utterly impossible to do anything to King Chu Jiang by relying solely on the strength of the county. However, if the County Yamen and the White Demon King worked together, Xuandu's power could eliminate Chu Jiang of Gojoseon without any suspense. The arrival of Bai Xin and her sister represented the White Demon King's sincerity. After learning of the White Demon King's intention to cooperate from Li Mu, Commandant Shen did not delay and immediately went to discuss with the county governor and the county minister. Since Li Mu killed the 4 ghost generals of Chu Jiang of Gojoseon, incidents occurred frequently in the 13 counties of the North County. However, the incidents did not involve ordinary people but cultivators. In just a few days, several Jushen cultivators had mysteriously disappeared. An hour later, Commandant Shen returned to the County Yamen and said to Li Mu, "As long as the White Demon King agrees to help, he can take all the soul energy of Chu Jiang of Gojoseon and his ghost generals." The County Yamen and the White Demon King had the same goal in dealing with Chu Jiang of Gojoseon. The White Demon King wanted Chu Jiang of Gojoseon's soul energy. The County Yamen wanted the peace of the North County. They both wanted Chu Jiang of Gojoseon to die. Commandant Shen continued, "You'll be in charge of contacting the White Demon King. We'll contact the spies we planted in Chu Jiang of Gojoseon as soon as possible and find a way to find his hiding place." Li Mu nodded and said, "Leave it to me. You have contributed greatly to this matter." Commandant Shen glanced at Bai Xin and her sister in the duty room and said to Li Mu, "Well done. There's no need to explain." Commandant Shen smiled and said, "This is your ability. Others can't be envious of you. If you can really get rid of Chu Jiang of Gojoseon, you'll have made a great contribution. The Imperial Court won't be stingy with your reward." Commandant Shen still had to find a way to contact the spies planted in Chu Jiang of Gojoseon. He left after giving Li Mu a few instructions. In this matter, Li Mu was the link between the County Yamen and the White Demon King. If they really wanted to solve the problem of Chu Jiang of Gojoseon, they still had to rely on these experts. Li Mu walked into the room. Bai Xin immediately asked, "Uncle, where will my sister and I stay?" Li Mu took out an ingot of silver and was about to speak when Bai Xin said, "You don't want us to stay in an inn, do you? It's dirty and messy, and the food isn't good. Do you have the heart to let your poor nieces stay in such a place?" Li Mu thought about it and said, "I can help you find a better inn." Bai Xin shook her head and said, "If my father knew that you treated us like this, he would be very sad." To be honest, the White Demon King was really sincere to Li Mu. Thinking about it carefully, even if a distant relative came, according to etiquette, it wouldn't be good to arrange for them to stay in an inn. If the White Demon King knew, even if he didn't say it out loud, he would inevitably have a grudge in his heart. Li Mu said helplessly, "Then come home with me first." Lu Hanyan didn't have any objections to Bai Xin and her sister staying at home for a few days. As the hostess, she was very enthusiastic and personally cooked a table of dishes. Bai Xin, who had never tasted any delicacies in the world, bit her tongue. Bai Xin's performance was completely different from when Li Mu first met her. When she first met Li Mu, her performance was not much better than Bai Xin's. However, after condensing the demon core and stepping into the 4th realm, Her temperament was much more mature than before. Lu Hanyan prepared 2 rooms for them, and the 2 sisters only wanted one. Late at night, Bai Tingxin stood at the door and saw Lu Hanyan enter Li Mu's room and close the door. She didn't come out even after the lights were turned off. She walked back to the room and shook her head. "It's over, sister. Now you have no chance at all." Bai Yinxin glanced at her indifferently and asked, "Are you itching for a beating again?" Bai Tingxin said with melancholy, "Sigh, I'm just thinking for you. You've never seen a man before, and now that you've finally met one, you think he's the best in the world. But there are many men in the world. There must be better ones in the future. You can't give up an entire forest for a tree." Bai Yinxin glanced at her and asked, "Where did you learn this from?" Bai Tingxin took off her shoes and rolled onto the bed. She said, "I figured it out myself. When I condense the demon core, we'll go out and explore Jianghu. Maybe we'll meet our Su Xian." She rolled on the bed alone and suddenly got up. She asked, "Sister, you don't really like him, do you?" Bai Yinxin shook her head and said, "I don't know." Bai Tingxin said with certainty, "You don't know, but you like him. After all, he's the first human you met." She hugged Bai Yinxin's arm and leaned her head on her shoulder. She said, "You just haven't seen enough men. In a few months, I'll take you to the outside of North County. When you see more men, you'll know that Li Mu is just SOSO." During the few days that Bai Yinxin and her sister were temporarily staying at home, Wan Wan and Little White took them out to shop every day and used their own private savings to buy them a bunch of gifts. The 3 demons formed a deep sisterly friendship. Li Mu had just arrived at the county office when Constable Zhao informed him, "The county commandant said to find him when you come to the office." He walked into the front hall. County Commandant Shen waved his sleeves and closed the door. Then he said, "The county office has contacted the spy." Li Mu looked at County Commandant Shen and asked, "Can the spy be trusted?" County Commandant Shen nodded and said, "He was planted by the county office. We have a way to check if he's lying. Chu Jiang of Gojoseon has been dormant in North County for 5 years. There's indeed a conspiracy." Li Mu raised his eyebrows and asked, "What conspiracy?" County Commandant Shen said in a deep voice, "He nurtured the 18 ghost generals to form a formation. This formation is called the 18-In Prison Formation. It's an extremely vicious formation of the demon sect. He wants to use this formation to refine the people of a county and use it to break through to the 6th realm." Li Mu had guessed this since a long time ago. He possessed the memories of Taoist Thousand Illusion, so he wasn't unfamiliar with the 18 Nether Prison Grand Formation. King Chu Jiang had spent so much time and gone to great lengths to nurture 18 Soul Realm ghost generals, so his intentions couldn't be any more obvious. He continued to ask, "Which county did Chu Jiang of Gojoseon choose?" County Commandant Shen said, "Yangqiu County." "Yes," Constable Zhou said hurriedly. "Lord Zhang is in the back office. I'll inform him." A moment later, in the back hall of the county office, Zhang County magistrates made a cup of tea for Li Mu and said with a smile, "It seems that I was right to suggest you go to the county office. You've been promoted to constable so quickly. Come, have some tea." Li Mu sipped the tea. Zhang County magistrates also picked up the teacup and said, "Li Mu, you have a conscience. When you came back to the county to visit your relatives, you didn't forget to visit me. You're not like that ungrateful Zhang Shan. He ran away before I was transferred." Li Mu put down the teacup and said with a smile, "Actually, I came here this time to inform Lord Zhang of something." Zhang County magistrates sipped the tea and said, "Go ahead." Li Mu waited for him to finish drinking the tea and put down the teacup before saying, "Lord Zhang, please sit tight." Zhang County magistrates was stunned at first. Then he immediately stood up and said, "I suddenly remembered that the Imperial Court ordered me to leave office today. I'll pack my things now. The mountain is high and the road is long. We'll meet again if fate wills it." Li Mu said helplessly, "Lord Zhang, Don't be in a hurry to pack your things. It's too late to pack now. Zhang County magistrates held the chair and looked at him with bright eyes. He asked, "Could it be that Qianhuan Shangren is still alive?" Li Mu shook his head and said, "How could that be?" Zhang County magistrates sat down and sighed with relief. He said, "Don't scare me. I'm timid and can't stand being scared." Li Mu smiled and said, "Don't worry. It's not a big deal this time." Zhang County magistrates leaned back in his chair and said, "What is it?" Li Mu asked, "Lord Zhang, have you heard of Chu Jiang of Gojosian?" Zhang County magistrate's heart skipped a beat. He asked, "What happened to Chu Jiang of Gojosian?" Li Mu said, "Chu Jiang of Gojosian is going to sacrifice all the people of Yangshuo County in 7 days. The county magistrate asked me to inform you so that you can make preparations." Zhang County magistrate stood up abruptly and said, "The imperial court ordered me to go to Zhong County as soon as possible. The carriage is ready. You can tell the next county magistrate about this matter." Li Mu added, "Don't worry, Lord Zhang. At least 5 Fifth Realm cultivators will be involved this time. Yangshuo County will be safe. If this matter is handled properly, Lord Zhang will be rewarded again." Zhang County magistrate sat down again and stroked the short beard on his chin. He said, "I've thought about it. As long as I'm in Yangshuo County, I'm still the local magistrate of Yangshuo County. If Chu Jiang of Gojosian wants to harm the people of Yangshuo County, he'll have to step over my dead body first." Li Mu cupped his fists and said, "Lord Zhang is righteous." Although the 18 Hell formation was very powerful and could cover the entire county after it was set up, it would take a long time to prepare before the formation was set up. If Chu Jiang of Gojosian wanted to unleash the greatest power of this formation, he had to choose a time when the 18 Hell formation would be set up. If the plan was known in advance, it would be impossible to set up the 18 Hell formation. From now on, Zhang County magistrates would send people to keep an eye on all the important locations in the county. Even if Chu Jiang of Gojosian set the time in advance, he would be able to discover it immediately. What happened next had nothing to do with Li Mu. In a battle of that level, cultivators in the condensed spirit and transcendent realm would be injured if they were grazed by it. Li Mu only needed to wait in the county yamen for news. Deep in the mountains in the southeast of Beijing. "Welcome, Your Highness." 18 ghostly figures knelt in 3 rows. In front of them stood a stalwart man. The man had a cold expression. He wore a black robe embroidered with a golden dragon and a jade crown. He exuded a powerful aura. Chu Jiang of Gojosian looked at the 18 ghostly figures and exhaled. He said slowly, "After 5 years, I've finally waited for this day. We congratulate Your Highness on your success." All the ghosts said loudly. King Chu Jiang swept all the ghosts with his gaze, and then he suddenly looked at one of them and asked, "Soul Reaper Ghost, how long has it been since you became this king's ghost general?" Among the ghosts, a ghost general raised his head and looked at Chu Jiang of Gojosian with a mocking expression. "You should go back early. Come to the county government tomorrow and you'll hear the good news." Li Mu nodded and said, "Then I'll go." As soon as he finished speaking, a red light suddenly flashed in his eyes. The whole yard of the county government was illuminated by the red light for a moment. Li Mu raised his head abruptly and saw 18 blood-red light beams shooting up into the sky from the county government. They gathered in the air and formed a huge blood-red light shield that enveloped the entire county government. Li Mu was stunned for a moment and realized what had happened. His face was extremely ugly. He could not help but curse. "Chu Jiang of Gojosian, F***CKU. However, there are a few human cultivators in the city who are causing us quite a bit of trouble. On a street in the west of the county capital, a cultivator in the assembled god state was fighting with a few evil spirits with all his might. Behind him, there were dozens of frightened people. He didn't know how many evil spirits he had killed. His fulu was completely depleted and he didn't have much magic power left. He used all his strength to force the evil spirits back. Just as he was about to catch his breath, a man wearing a crown suddenly appeared in front of him. The man was stalwart and wore a long black robe. He only glanced at him briefly and the cultivator spat out a mouthful of blood and fainted. South Street, County Premier's residence. The young man in white protected Li Si and Chun Miao Miao as he killed a few evil spirits. Then, a stalwart figure descended from the sky. On the North Street, Lin Yu was leading a few constables to fight with more than 10 evil spirits. Suddenly, his body trembled and he fainted on the ground with a few other constables. The evil spirits knelt on the ground and said loudly, "Your Highness." Chu Jiang of Gojoseon waved his hand and said, "Take them away." A little ghost floated over and pointed ahead. He said, "Your Highness, there's only one shop left. Many of our brothers died there." Chu Jiang of Gojoseon looked in that direction and said, "3 evil spirits. 2 of them have transformed and 1 of them has condensed his core." No wonder. At the entrance of the Union Pavilion, Bai Yinxin's heart sank as she watched more and more evil spirits gather. Although these evil spirits didn't pose much of a threat to them, she didn't forget that there was still a terrifying existence in the city. She looked back at Bai Yinxin and patted her head. She said, "I'm afraid we won't be able to see father alive." Bai Yinxin wiped her tears and cried, "I haven't waited for mother to wake up. I haven't met love yet. Is there anyone who can save us?" Sob sob. What hero saving the damsel in distress? Everything written in the books is a lie. I swear, if someone comes to save us now, I'll marry him. Lu Hanyan held Wanwan and Xiao Bai's hands and asked, "Are you afraid?" Wanwan's face was pale, but she shook her head firmly and said, "Wanwan is not afraid of anything when I'm with Mississippi." Xiao Bai lowered her head and said, "I'm not afraid either. It's just that I can't avenge Grandma." As soon as she finished speaking, a man wearing a crown slowly floated over from afar. Bai Yinxin gripped the sword in her hand and gritted her teeth. She said, "Chu Jiang of Gojoseon, 2 snake demons." A strange expression appeared on Chu Jiang of Gojoseon's face. He said, "What's your relationship with the White Demon King?" Bai Yinxin gritted her teeth and said, "The White Demon King is my father. If you dare to hurt us, my father will not let you go." Chu Jiang of Gojoseon smiled and said, "Very good. This king has no intention of letting him go." He stretched out his hand and their bodies slowly rose into the air. The 2 sisters struggled with all their might, but they still slowly floated toward Chu Jiang of Gojoseon. Boom! A purple thunderbolt fell from the sky and struck straight toward Chu Jiang of Gojoseon's head. Chu Jiang of Gojoseon raised his hand to block it. The thunderbolt entered his hand and disappeared. Although this thunderbolt did not cause any harm to him, it interrupted his action just now. Bai Yinxin and her sister regained their freedom and quickly retreated. Together with Lu Hanyan, they looked at the street in front of them. In the darkness illuminated by the blood light, a figure was running wildly from there. Lu Hanyan could feel the strength of Chu Jiang of Gojoseon. Her pretty face showed despair and she shouted, "Run!" Li Mu's figure appeared in front of them in an instant. Seeing that they were fine, he let out a long sigh of relief and said, "Leave this to me. You 2 go in first." Lu Hanyan opened her mouth to say something, but Li Mu shook his head and interrupted her. He said, "Be good." He stretched out his arms and held Lu Hanyan, Wanwan, and Xiao Bai. He held Bai Yinxin and Bai Yinxin in his arms and pushed them into the shop. Then he closed the door of the shop and stuck a fulu on the door to isolate the sound from outside. Chu Jiang of Gojoseon looked at the Jushen cultivator in front of him and said with a smile, "Interesting. You're bold enough, but you didn't consider your strength." Li Mu turned around and looked at Chu Jiang of Gojoseon. He smiled and said, "No matter how bold I am, I'm not as bold as you." Chu Jiang of Gojoseon's gaze froze and the smile on his face immediately disappeared. He asked, "Who are you?" He stared at Li Mu. He had abandoned the name Zhang Daiden for decades. Other than the Lord Sage, even the other Yama kings of the 10 halls did not know him. Li Mu looked at him calmly and asked, "Zhang Daiden, do you really not recognize me?" As he spoke, his temperament also underwent some subtle changes. Chu Jiang of Gojoseon finally felt something. His expression changed drastically and he blurted out, You're Lord Chen Huan."